Good morning to our colleagues, good morning to our students, and good morning to our presenters. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us on our event today for law professionals. Before we start, my name is Kuku Masilela. I'll be your host for today, but I'm not alone. I'm with my co-host, Ms. Tsila, and she will be coming on just after I give the ground rules, the house rules for our speakers.
Good morning, everyone. A cheerful welcome to you all. Your presence makes us very happy. Right, my name is Tsila Makue, and I'm a trainee career guidance practitioner.
Thank you, Tsila. To kick off our event, we'll ask our head of counseling in the Gauteng region, Dr. Bungi Bitswane, to give us our opening and welcome and introduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gugu. Thank you, Tsila, for the welcome. Yeah, it gives me a great honor, as always, to be in this platform. And as the head of counseling, I'm so proud of the organizers as well as the people behind the scene who are, in all cases, making sure and ensuring that our events are running smoothly. And I'm actually very proud of you. Looking at the time, it's 4 minutes past 10. So we are definitely on time. You are really professional. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, let me start again. Greetings to you all. As introduced, I'm Dr. Bungi Bitswane, and I'm so delighted to be here with you today. Yes, on the virtual platform, of course. And looking at the state of our justice system, there has been public display and scrutiny that we see daily on our TVs. And because of that, it actually talks to us and influences us as counseling unit to host such an event so that it allows us a space where we engage with our students and professionals in different platforms to ensure that we converse and share ideas as lawyers and attorneys in the making. And as Gauteng Counseling Region, of course, we saw a gap and thought, what a better way to bridge it by hosting the professional law event. And this is our second law event since the beginning of our careers in the space. And it actually influenced us to say that our students complete their qualification not knowing exactly which path to follow. Hence, we felt it necessary to keep on hosting these events to bring in professionals in different fields who can enlighten and engage with you about their operations and procedures of their law fields. COVID-19 has put a strain on our university operation, but as counseling unit, we actually thrive at ensuring that students remain our priority, and we make sure that we use different platforms that are available to create a safe space of engagement and learning. And it is on that note that we have actually invited you today, and we hope that the professionals that have been invited into our space will be able to share very valuable information. I do not have any doubt that they will actually do justice to the topics that have been shared with them. We have got different people from banking, from conveyancing, and from Office of the Prosecutor, and you name, the list goes on. But I don't want to waste your time. I would rather welcome you into this virtual space, and I hope and believe that it will be worth attending. And let the ride begin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. P. What a warm welcome. Right, okay. Now we are students. We are ready to kick off with our program. Next on the virtual floor, we'll welcome Mr. Siyabonga Lushaba. Mr. Siyabonga Lushaba is a third-year LLB student at the University of South Africa, UNISA. He is a former African National Congress Youth League branch treasurer. He's currently a BEC member at Florence Maposho branch of the ANC. He's currently the ANC ward councillor candidate for Ward 115 in Zone 14, Greater Johannesburg region. He's currently the SASCO convener at UNISA Florida branch. Mr. Lishabe is currently the Regional Student Representative Council Chairperson of UNISA Greater Johannesburg region. His main ambition is to become an uncorruptible leader of society with a broader understanding of the South African law and its people. Mr. Lishabe, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Firstly, greetings to everyone. It is an honor to be sharing ideas with such brilliant minds in this platform. Today, I'll speak directly to our fellow students that today we are here to learn about the different synergy in the law of fraternity. These professionals are here to provide us with a glimpse of what being a lawyer, an advocate, attorney, prosecutor, and convincing attorney is. As the study in this field has been your aspiration and your dream, and definitely a degree worthy of completing. Today you will hear the real life events of your dream in this discussed titles. As the Student Representative Council Chairperson, I would like to remind you that we are the student of UNISA today, and we are tomorrow's leaders. And as such, you must leave no stone unturned where the law is concerned. In my opinion, know that you practice the law today and you are tomorrow's case study. Practice the law with care and remember that it is not just win, but a case that society will look at for decades to come. So, in short, whatever case you win, it sets a precedent for other cases to come. And a case that affects South Africa and her people for many, many years. And yes, in my opinion, lawyers mold our nation. Therefore, they practice law with knowledge and care. Oh, sorry, Ash, I got disturbed by a message here. Anyways, I'll continue. They practice law with knowledge and care, knowing that every profession, engineering, doctors, scientists, economists, politicians, domestic workers, taxi drivers, and every South African citizen will need a lawyer at some point in their lives. Hence, we lead the nation and not just the law fraternity. So today, you need to yearn to question and articulate how the law works. You need to ask these professionals about the thin line between a corrupt and non-corrupt lawyer, as well as the repercussions and consequences thereof. Ask about the daily decisions that these professionals partake in their professions. Ask about what is required to advocate for your client and the state. And lastly, I want to put an emphasis on the issue of data, because since we are here, I know such events will continue. I would request that at least if we can organize data for student leaders, especially if they will participate in such events, because they take time, and some of us, we don't really have much money to be buying data. At least if the institution provides data for us so that we are able to attend such events, because they are building and they will assist us in a lot of things. I think that's it. That's my presentation for today, and welcome everyone. That was my opinion, as I'm one of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lushaka, for that. I hope our students took notes. I hope they get their pens and papers ready so they can draft their questions and ask our professionals, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity or once in a year opportunity that we give to our students. And I hope you have them ready, and I hope our presenters are ready to answer the questions that our students are going to pose to them. Next up, we have our resident student counselor in the Joburg campus, Ms. Mamashu Maboa. Ms. Mamashu, the floor is yours. Thank you.
But my duty is very small to just give you the purpose of the day, why we are gathered here today. Firstly, I'm just going to share with you the background of these events, which were established in the 2020 academic year for all the UNISA students in different colleges. And currently we are focusing on the College of Law, Psychology and Accounting. And this was established because as counseling units, we have within our life duty, we have identified some gaps that are there in those different fields, which are hidden in the professions and careers. This includes what students should do upon completion of their qualifications in order to become professionals. If, for example, there are any board exams for one to write or professional bodies to affiliate with, or if there are any qualifications for them to study further in order for them to be qualified. So we, as counselors, we saw this as an opportunity for us to engage with the professionals in different fields, to share their knowledge, to share their skills, to share their challenges, and as well as their successes in their professions. Today we are gathered here focusing on the law professionals, and because we also believe that as lawyers, as law professionals, there are different fields that one should go into in order for them to qualify or maybe to be recognized. So that is why we are gathered here today to ensure that all the students get first-hand information from our professionals, and because we also realize as well that most of our students might have not underwent through the career counseling. So as our duty, as we provide career counseling to the students who are struggling with making career decisions, and this is some of the information that we share with them, then we realize that since maybe some of the students have not been able to get the opportunity, then we decided let's just take them through their journey and also to familiarize them with the careers that they have chosen. So today what is going to be happening, as I have mentioned, that we have professionals from different fields. We also have professional bodies who will be here with us sharing what they are doing for the students. And I am also pleased to have students panelists who will also be here to share with us their academic challenges and their professional challenges as they going through the journeys of becoming law professionals. So the professionals will be doing their presentations, and then after that, then the students will also be given a chance to engage with them by asking questions. I hope all of you that are attending here today will enjoy this and will gather as much information as possible so that you are preparing yourselves with the journey ahead of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mabua. Thank you so much for filling us up on the purpose of the event. Right, okay. Now, next on the virtual floor, we'll be inviting Ms. Tulufelo Lipule. Okay. Tulufelo is a banking and finance attorney advising in general banking and finance matters and debt capital markets transactions. She advises lenders and borrowers on leverage finance transactions as well as issuers and arranges in connection with the corporate bond listing on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. She's currently pursuing her studies in sustainable development. Prior to that, she spent several years working at Norton Rose, Fulbright, and Weber Wenzel. She has an interest in inter-African relations and Africa's relationship with the rest of the world. In 2019 and 2020, Tsulu was seconded to Anjwarala and Kanna, Kenya, where she worked on financing transactions in Kenya, Tanzania, and several cross-border deals. In her spare time, Tsulu enjoys practicing yoga and is an advocate for following a vegetarian diet. Not an advocate in law, okay? An advocate for following a vegetarian diet, but with a non-judgmental approach. She's devoted to using her yoga practice to live a full life and encouraging others to do so. She has aspirations of establishing yoga centers in Africa, which will also provide pro bono legal services. She's a staunch proponent of creating the Africa we want. Ms. Tsulu, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that intro, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. And so yes, good morning to everybody. My name is Sulofelo Lipule, and I'm really excited to be here to interact with the students on the line. I recall when I was a student, I'm a UNISA graduate myself, and when I was a student, I don't think we had opportunities like this. There was the odd career day here and there, but not at this level where you've got law professionals and students on one call under one roof, and you've got the opportunity for a one-on-one interaction to really get the information that you're required in order to chart your path as an attorney, as an advocate, whichever law professional route you decide to take. So I think this is a fantastic event, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you. So what I'm going to speak about today is your career as an attorney. And I thought the way to go through the content would be to share some background about myself, so what I do on a day-to-day basis, and then my career path, how I got to where I am. And then secondly, we'll look at the meatier things, or the formal things, which is the admission requirements for you to be admitted as an attorney in South Africa. And then lastly, we can discuss what I personally think is important to know, because sometimes you might be going on the path, but if you just get a little bit more information from the people that have charted that path, that have walked the path, you're a little bit more equipped when you do start on your journey as a legal professional. So let's get into it. So I am an attorney. I'm a banking and finance attorney. And while I was studying as a student, I didn't even know that there was such a thing as a banking and finance attorney. I had an idea that there were corporate attorneys, but I wasn't aware of the banking and finance aspect of it. So what does a banking and finance attorney do on a day-to-day basis? So in summary, a banking and finance attorney, they prepare the financing documents that regulate the relationship between lenders and borrowers. And so these lenders and borrowers, they are not individuals, they are corporate entities. So in a practical sense, we would have a borrower that comes to a lender and says, I want to build a hospital in Richards Bay. Or let's say we want to acquire certain shares in a company. Or one of the more interesting ones that we were involved in was that a consortium of borrowers, so a collection of borrowers, approached a syndicate of lenders, which is a group of lenders, and they said that we want to build a railway that goes from Malawi to Mozambique, and that will transport goods on an everyday basis. So that's the type of transaction that I was involved in and our team was involved in. And then we would then prepare the documents relating to that transaction. So the financing documents, so the loan documents, the security documents, as well as the project documents, which then set out how long is the duration of, let's say, the EPC contract. So a lot of project elements being involved in there. But ultimately, it's the raising of finance and attorneys then preparing those documents for those corporate finance transactions, not on an individual basis. And then I also do debt capital markets transactions. So on the debt capital markets side of things, you'd hear, okay, they issued a note or their bonds. So we also prepare those documents, and those bonds are then listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. It's just another mechanism of raising finance, because sometimes on the debt capital market side of things do sound a little bit too technical, but to simplify it, it's a method of raising finance. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis, is prepare those documents. We negotiate the documents. A lot of the time we act for lenders, which are banks, private equity firms, property investment firms, and then the borrowers could be a corporate borrower, let's say, who's in logistics. There's an array of corporate borrowers that we act for. So that's that in summary. And then in terms of how I charted my career path and how I've arrived where I am. So like I said, I'm a UNISA graduate myself. So I got my UNISA degree, and then from there on, I went to do articles at Norton Rose. And then once I was done with my articles there, I went on to become a banking and finance attorney at Weber Wenzel. And I've been there for about 5 years. It was fantastic when I was at Weber Wenzel, they read my bio earlier on. I did spend some time in Kenya working on financing transactions, but in the East Africa side of things. And I think the wonderful thing about banking and finance is that it's a transferable skill. So you could be anywhere in the world and be able to practice banking and finance law, because a loan document is a loan document wherever you go in the world. So your opportunities to really explore the world are there as a banking and finance attorney. There's a lot of international law aspects involved in there. So I find it quite exciting for that reason. So that was my time at Weber Wenzel. I think the timing of this talk is quite important, because I just wrapped up at Weber Wenzel like a month ago, and now I'm charting into a new area. And I think that my law degree and my time in the law firms really did open up the doors for me now to go into the sustainable development side of things. And so I'm doing that at the moment. So that's a bit about me, but I think I like the fact that, you know, in the law profession, particularly becoming an attorney, it's quite well set out in the acts that govern our universe. So thank goodness, you know, the law comes through for me on this aspect, that it's quite a well set out one. And I'll just say to you, there are 6 steps that you would then need to cover in order for you to become admitted as an attorney in South Africa. And again, my apologies for it not sharing, but we can easily speak to it, because I think it's pretty straightforward as long as you just put your head down and get into it. All right, so in terms of you know, law professionals, the 3 pieces of legislation that govern our universe is, of course, the Attorneys Act, and then the Qualification of Legal Practitioners Amendment Act, which amends certain aspects of the Attorneys Act, and then the Legal Practice Act. So those are the 3 pieces of legislation which govern an attorney's universe in terms of getting admitted, how to conduct yourself, are you fit and proper, and so forth. So in terms of the first step that we look at, I said there's 6 steps. The first one would be obtaining your university qualification. So in terms of the Attorneys Act, you know, as amended by the Amendment Act, the minimum requirement is an LLB degree. So that's your minimum requirement. And then there are some people that decide, no, they want to do a BCom first and thereafter do the LLB, or they do a BA and then do an LLB. But what is required for you to be admitted is an LLB. So that's your first step. That's your first step. And if you're in your 4th year, you're almost there to complete your first step. And then the second step is for you to apply for articles of clerkship. So you can apply at a law firm or at a law clinic to do your articles. And I recall that I think I left mine a little bit too late. I think I was in like my 3rd or 4th year when I applied. I think I was actually in my 4th year when I applied for articles, but I really urge you to apply as early as possible for your articles. It's really imperative so that they can go through your application, and it is a competitive process. So I think the earlier you start, the better. And I think that one of the presenters will, speak to you about how you prepare for your articles experience, what they're looking for, and how soon you should actually start. So applying for articles is step 2. And then you would have your articles interview, and then they decide, okay, we like you as a candidate. Please come and serve your articles of clerkship here with us. So there are 2 options. You could have your 2 years of articles at a law firm under the guidance of a principal. And then this then includes a 5-week practical legal training. So when I was doing articles, we had our PLT in-house, which means that our PLT was given by partners that were in the firm. So we didn't need to go out to get PLT, but it works differently in other firms. In a lot of firms, you would do your day-to-day training, and then at a certain time, say around 5 o'clock, you would leave for PLT and go and take it at the School of Legal Practice. And then the second option in terms of doing your articles is you would have your 1 year of articles, and then subject to a 6-month full-time of School of Legal Practice, which is offered by the Law Society. So you do your 1 year of articles, then full-time 6 months of PLT. And then that would then help you in terms of getting to your admission requirements. So those are the 2 options in terms of articles: 2 years at a law firm, or 1 year subject to 6 months of PLT. And then personally, from my perspective, I did my PLT while I was doing my master's. So I did 6 months, and then when I did arrive at Norton Rose, they said, no, irrespective of whether you've done your PLT or not, we would still like you to do the 2 years of articles. And that was perfectly fine, because I think there's no such thing as lost knowledge. And the PLT helped me to prepare for my exams. I did basically double PLT, which is fine, really. You just get better with more knowledge, I think. But please be aware of that if you are going to apply to one of the big 5 law firms and you've done your PLT, they might tell you, okay, you still need to do your 2 years of articles, which is not a problem at all. The more experience you get, the better. All right, so that's the 3rd step, is that you serve your articles of clerkship and then doing your PLT together with that. And then it's time for your attorney's admission exams, right? So you would write your admission exams while you're still doing articles. So that's step 4, and there are 4 papers to be written when you do your admission exam. So the first one is your court procedure, so it's High Court and Magistrate procedure. The second one is estates, and then ethics, as well as bookkeeping. So just bear in mind that there are 4, and that you can get previous papers, so you can have a look and share with each other, and then you can prepare yourself better for those exams. So that's the 4th step. You've done your admission exams, you've passed, and now it's time for you to do your fit and proper interview. And there they interrogate, whether you've got the integrity and the ethics to practice as an attorney. I think somebody spoke about being an incorruptible or not corruptible attorney. And I mean, that's where they look at it. And that's why we also have the ethics paper, to really look into your ethics as an attorney and whether you fit and proper to be part of the profession. And so that's the 5th step. I would say it's the 5th step, is a fit and proper interview. And that's conducted by somebody from the Law Society, as an attorney, and they'll ask you a few questions, whether you would take a gift. There are certain questions that they'll ask at the interview. And then the last step is you prepare your admission papers, and then you proceed to be admitted as an attorney of the High Court. And that's the exciting part, because you've now walked the journey. You've done from step 1 your qualification, you did your articles, you've done your board exams, you fit and proper, and now you prepare your admission papers and you appear. You'll have the advocate speaking on your behalf, and then you appear in front of the judge, and if they are satisfied with your papers, because it's not always a given that when you go and get admitted, the judge will be satisfied with your papers. I mean, there could be an issue, maybe, I don't know, you were away from your principal for a period of longer than 30 days and you have to do a condemnation, but hopefully nobody on the call has to do that, because that gets a bit complicated. So as long as your papers are, you've done your for 2 years or your 1 year and then 6 months, and your papers are in order, you should be well on your way to being admitted as an attorney of the High Court of South Africa, which is an absolute privilege. I'm just looking at the time now. I think I've got about 4 minutes to share what I personally think is important. And this was the last slide on my presentation. And I was going to say that, you know, the one thing I didn't add on my 6 steps is back work, because that's practically not, well, essentially it's not a requirement for you to be admitted, but it really does help you in terms of preparing yourself for the work environment. I can honestly say that I was not very well prepared for the work environment, and I think I should have done more back work. So I did one session of back work. I think I did about 6 weeks at a law firm, and that was great, and that really helped me. But if I could have gotten a second chance to do back work, I would do it again, just so that you can acclimatize yourself with the environment, and you're just more confident when you walk into the law firm or a work environment. You're just better equipped. So I would say, if you can, really try to get your VAC work done, and as many as you can. I don't think you can exhaust it. And then the second point, which is important to remember, is to register your contract of articles once you start serving your articles, because sometimes some people they forget to register their articles at the Law Society. Then they do their articles for a few months and they realize, oh gosh, it's not registered. Please just remember to get it done. If you've got people at the law firm who are handling it for you, just ask for an email confirmation to say, you know, has this been registered, so that your contract or your articles start running appropriately at the right time. And that, just also remember that you're eligible to write board exams after 6 months of serving articles. So don't leave it, you know, until the last minute. So if you know, you've covered the 6 months, you can just start preparing yourself mentally as well to get your board exams done. And then I had included in my presentation just a link. There's a document by the LSSA, so it's the Law Society, and it's called Career Guide to the Legal Profession. And this is a very useful document that I also used to prepare for this call. And I think you should have a look at it. It sets out the steps and what's required. Of course, just check it. There might have been some developments here and there, but just remember that the core legislation that you would be referring to is the Attorneys Act, you know, as amended by an Amendment Act, as well as your Legal Practice Act. And I think you should be well on your way to being admitted as an attorney in South Africa. Yeah, and that's all I have for today. If you've got any questions, please, you're welcome. You can ask me in the chat. I don't know how we're going to be doing questions. I don't know if it's at the end of each session, but please, you're absolutely welcome. And if they can share my contacts at the end of the session as well, I would appreciate it. And if you need any additional information, you're welcome to reach out to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lupile. Thank you so much for that. I hope our students took note of all the acts that you mentioned and the 6 steps, and that we will share your details. And with regards to our question and answer session, we're going to have a session at the end of all our presenters, and then all the students get a chance to ask and then interact with you guys, our presenters, as well. Thank you so much. After this presentation, I have a lot of respect for all our law professionals, because it takes a lot for you guys to get to where you eventually get where you are right now as an attorney. So I have a lot of respect for you guys. Thank you so much for that. Please just post your questions. Students, post your questions on our chat box, and we will note them down and we'll post them to our presenters at the end of the session. Thank you so much. Next, we have Advocate Pinky Mokatla, who will give us a presentation on a career as an advocate and a prosecutor. Advocate Pinky, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope today is going to be fun and just fun for you. You must have noticed that I am just Advocate Pinky Mokhatla. No accolades before, no serious introductions, no what I qualified in, etc. We are all equal. First of all, we are human beings. And that says a lot. Being a human being means exactly what you put on the program, the quote that you have from former President Nelson Mandela, talking about freedom. So we are all equal, we are all free, we are all on this platform. We have different experiences, of course, and we're going to talk about those. So you have asked me to talk about a career as an advocate and to give you insights into the NPA. Now, NPA is governed by the Constitution of this country. Section 179 of the Constitution talks about the NPA. What type of an institution it should be, what powers does it have? It is the only prosecuting authority in this country. It is an extension of the executive. As being in law enforcement, it extends the job of the executive. The executive has pledged to the people of South Africa that it will keep them feeling safe and secure. Now, that is a lot to say. How do you keep a person or make a person feel safe and secure? It is in the programs of the government. The government has outcomes that they have put out as a government strategy. There are various instruments. I would mention just one, the NDP. The NDP has goals. It has programs that they have to roll out up to a certain year. We should be here this time. We should be there this time. We should be there that time. But let me scare you a little bit. Just a teensy-weensy little bit. I'm going to scare you. Now, coming into my space, NPA is made out of attorneys, advocates, former judges, former magistrates, admin people, investigators, analysts, financial people, you'd name it. We have it, almost all of it. Now, in terms of you coming into the space of the NPA, we have spoken so much about the aspirant prosecutor program, and I have shared with the organizers of this meeting today the link to the public webinar, which we're going to be hosting on the 30th of June, 2021. Please mark it. It's going to be shared with you. I'm not sure how they're going to share it with you, maybe on this platform, but I have sent it to the organizers. The 30th of June, that's where it's going to be unpacked. What are the requirements? What you need to do? How you need to carry yourself? What type of an exam are you going to be writing? How are you going to be placed? How long does it take, etc. So I'm not going to talk about the aspirant prosecutor program today because there is that webinar that is coming up. And in this platform, I'm happy I have my head of communications who's keeping tabs of what we say wherever we go. So in that freedom that we say we have, we cannot just say anything that we want to say. We must be controlled in what we say. So let me give you some in snippets of the kind of space the NPA is. NPA has various layers. We have the management level. I will start with the top level. We have the NDPP as the head of the National Prosecuting Authority. She's called the National Director of Public Prosecutions. Her name is Shamila Batoi, those of you who do not know, but I don't think that anyone in South Africa doesn't know who the National Director is. And second layer, it will then be myself. and 3 others, which is Advocate Omar Rabaji, Advocate Anton du Plessis, and Advocate Rodney de Kock. All of us are called Deputy National Directors of Public Prosecutions, and we are in management. And I manage the Legal Affairs Division. So for you to be eligible to get into that space, your appointment comes from the President of South Africa. Your appointment must be recommended by the NDPP. If it is at my level, it's recommended by the NDPP together with the Minister of Justice. Minister of Justice will then take inputs from people like yourselves, from the people in the legal profession, the organizations that are out there, the LPC. Everything about you has to be known, and it gets collated, and the Minister of Justice will have to know about that, and then they discuss it with the President, and if the President is happy, then gives it an okay, issues out a presidential minute, which then goes to the Minister of Justice, and from the Minister of Justice back to the NDPP, and then you are informed, and the public is also informed that you have been appointed as a Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions. Now, the requirements, as Sulufelo was talking earlier, you have to be a lawyer, of course, and an admitted lawyer to practice in the courts of South Africa. And for you to be admitted, obviously, you have to be a fit and proper person to be admitted into the legal profession. So similarly, with the President, you have to be a fit and proper person. If you look at our section 12 of the NPA Act, the NPA Act will talk about when are you eligible to leave, your security of tenure, etc., etc. So if you turn out not to be fit and proper during the execution of your duties, then you can be removed from office. An inquiry will then be held, and the President will have his reasons as to why he's launching an inquiry on your fitness to hold office as a Deputy National Director of Prosecutions. Now, as the head of the NPA, you have seen there was a process that was embarked upon, which was a new process in the country, where the head of the NPA was interviewed publicly. And we had various people chosen from different spaces, including an erstwhile cabinet member as the chairperson of that interview panel. These are then called political appointments. For you to be eligible then to come to this space, you must have a whole range of experience, starting from the time that you were admitted. What is it that you were doing in terms of the law? Were you practicing in a proper manner? Do you have any disciplinaries, etc.? All the things that you are talking about when you file your papers for admission as an advocate. So those ethics, your class of ethics, respect it. Your class of jurisprudence, respect it. So I talked so much about this space. It being a political appointment, they say it's a political appointment because, you know, it has to be signed off by the President of the country, who is a cabinet member, who is also a political persona. Then we have another layer of the DPPs. The DPPs are Directors of Public Prosecutions, and the Directors of Prosecutions have control over the areas of jurisdiction. In South Africa, we have 9 provinces, but then we have 11 Directors of Prosecutions. The Eastern Cape has 2 Directors of Prosecutions. Gauteng also has 2 Directors of Prosecutions because of the vast area that they have jurisdiction over. So this layer is also political appointments. The same process that I have unfolded earlier goes for this layer of NPA employees. Same route, fit and proper, Section 12 governs your tenure of office in terms of the NPA Act. Experience-wise, you must have gone through the motions. Be admitted as either an attorney or an advocate, be a fit and proper person, no disciplinaries, no dark clouds on your head, etc., etc. Then we come to another layer, which is equal to the directors of prosecutions, which is the special directors. Now, the special directors are appointed also by, the president of the country, and there are proclamations. It's got to be a proclamation that is issued, and that proclamation must be relevant to the area of expertise that you are appointed into, and that has to be gazetted. So we will know in this country as what are the duties of a special director from that, the functions of a special director from that gazette. So in terms of the special directors, we have a special director, SCCU, that's Special Commercial Crimes Unit. We have a special director, Asset Forfeiture Unit. We have a special director, Sexual and Sexual Offences and Community Affairs. We have a special director, PCLU, Priority Litigation Crimes Unit. Now let me pause and talk about the work that is done, firstly, at AFU. For you to be eligible to enter into that space and be an attorney or an advocate in that space, you've got to have at least a minimum of 6 years post-admission litigation experience. 6 years, then you will be at an entry level, then you will be called a junior state advocate. From 10 years upwards, you will be called a senior state advocate. 10 years post-admission, having been exposed to either criminal or civil litigation. The law that is key and core for Asset Forfeiture Unit will be your Prevention of Organized Crime Act. So if you were to want to come into that space, work hard, pass your LLB, get your admission, practice law, practice, go to court, enter the court, argue matters, draft papers, etc., and be a good person. Now let's talk about the SCCU, commercial crimes. Your minimum entry, if I'm not mistaken, is 8 years. You're gonna have 8 years post-admission litigation experience. So when we recruit, of course, we will look at our internal candidates, those who qualify, and then also we look at the outside candidates. That's where you come in if you have not been an employee of the NPA. So I'm telling you this so that you can know what is available there and what are we looking at when we recruit. So that when you want to say, why didn't you look at me? Am I not eligible? Am I not beautiful enough for this job? Then you will know, I lacked the 6 years experience, I lacked this and that and that. And how do we look at your experience? It will depend on whether or not where you are being employed is an operations space or it is in management. If it is in management, we are going to require you to have skills in having managed people. Hear me right, in having managed people, supervised people for so many years, the minimum being 3 years. We call it an SMS level, senior management. So when you get admitted and you decide, you know what, I think I want to have a career in government, And I also want to, you know, go ahead and become and be management. Or you want to start your own shop first, get your experience, and then you will join the NPA at management level. Do make sure that in your practice, in your own personal practice as an attorney, now let me start as an attorney, that it is not a firm that is a one-man show. One-man show, you are only managing yourself. You are your own team, you are your everything. So I would encourage people to form partnerships and have bigger firms. I am not saying that we are forcing people to be in partnerships and have big firms and have people under them that they are, you know, managing. But at least if you come from private practice, those are the qualities that we look for in you that will be converted into that SMS experience which is required. Now, as an advocate now, because the law doesn't grant us that liberty as advocates to form companies and be in partnerships, you are alone, you are a one-woman show, you are a one-man show, you are one it show, you are just you. So it kind of limits you in a way. It limits you in a way in that when we require that a 3, 4, 5 year SMS experience, you will lack it. And you would not have shown it because in your practice, if you are a silk, if you are a senior junior, the only person that you'll be working with will be 1 or 2 juniors, and sometimes 3 juniors, depending on the complexity of the matter. But then it does not qualify you to get that SMS level experience that is required when we recruit in government to at least shortlist you for the job that you've asked for. I am sure you've seen recently when there was an advert calling to get a DG for a particular department. And, you know, that 5-year experience in SMS level was then required. And at least 3 years of that SMS experience must have been in government. So if you choose to have a career in the public law space and in government, do take care of the requirements for every job that is there, every job that you would want to do. In that way, you are able to position yourself in the jobs that you are getting in gaining the experience to make you eligible for that position. Now, I have moved from now the asset forfeiture unit, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, SCCU, 8 years, post-admission litigation experience. Then I said I'm not going to talk about the aspirant prosecutor program, but I will talk about when you enter from the bottom as an aspirant prosecutor. As an aspirant prosecutor, you will be placed at regional, at district level. You will be trained. You will get into the space, you will get your experience as you get the training. That is also counted towards your post, if you are admitted up, your post-admission legal experience or litigation experience. You are in the district court, you prosecute there, you are litigating, you rise, you get placed within the NPA. You are eligible to get bursaries, whatever law that you want to, you know, to pursue your career in, you are entitled. It's assessed, you get the bursary, you get the on-the-job training. You can be placed wherever you want to be placed within the areas that I've mentioned, whether it be asset forfeiture, whether it be SCCU, whether it be sexual offences and community affairs. PCLU is very specialized in nature, Priority Litigation Crimes Unit. This is where we prosecute crimes against the state. sabotage, treason, etc. Those big things. This is highly specialized. We're still yet to look at how we can incubate people into the space. Because it's highly specialized, there's a lot of pressure in there. There is not enough time for the kind of capacity that we have at the moment to be dealing with the training issues. But our training division is really gearing itself to ensure that in all areas, people do get the on-the-job training. Now, you are coming into the space, you are 3 years in the district courts, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and then you can apply to enter into either asset forfeiture or any other of the places. Now, you must have seen that we have titles like a junior state advocate, we have a title like a senior state advocate. Those are titles that we use within the NPA. It's not necessarily that perhaps a person is an admitted advocate. Luckily now we all have LLB, we're all equal, we have LLB. LLB is what makes you eligible, and then you can go in and do your vocational training and be admitted as either an attorney or an advocate. So internally, your rise in terms of the years that you are working at NPA, you get promoted to an area of now we're calling you a junior state advocate. I mentioned that 6 years, a junior state advocate. Then you go, you rise, 8 years, you become a senior state advocate, and then you are eligible to apply to any other space that you may want to go within, the NPA. Now, I deliberately mentioned, I'm not sure what the time is, it's 11:03 on my watch. I hope I still have time. So I deliberately mentioned these political appointments. As you've seen, just recently we had cases in court, those of you who are avid followers of court proceedings, and now that we have court proceedings online, you have seen and you've listened, and I saw some of the names that are here had attended court just early this month around the appointments of certain DPPs. And that's where, the process was then unpacked as to what needs to happen before what happens, the protocols that need to be followed. So my advice to you would be, when you choose a particular path for yourself, stay with it. Do not move around a lot. When I say do not move around a lot, stay with it and stay within the experiences or events that are going to enhance your eligibility to pursue a career in that line that you have chosen. Because if you move from one area to the other, you break the number of years that are, counted as, that are counted in your favor for you to be eligible to be counted in as people that may be appointed in a particular position. Take me, for instance, and I'm going to talk about myself. I was already over 10 years in practice. I practiced as an advocate from the beginning. I did my pupillage and I practiced in Durban, I practiced in Pretoria, and then I went to Johannesburg. And in my line of work, I have served certain bodies. I have served the Advocates for Transformation. I've served the Society of Advocates of Natal. There we combined the Durban Bar and the Pietermaritzburg Bar. I served the Gauteng, the Johannesburg advocates, Society of Advocates as a council member as well. I have served in the BLA, etc. So when they're looking for leadership qualities, those will also enhance your eligibility to be appointed to a particular position. Where I am, I'm in management as a Deputy National Director of Public Prosecutions, and I have to support the program of the NPA. I have to support the head of the NPA. So when they look at those qualities, they see that this is a person that can sit in meetings, a person who can participate in meetings, a person who understands the protocols, the person who understands governance. Yeah, and also, you know, how you carried yourself when you were in practice. So for me to have come to the space, I do know for a fact that there was a fact-finding mission about myself, because I got wind of the inclinations of the executive to have me come to the NPA as a deputy national. I have been kicking and screaming. I said, look, this is not my space. I'm not a criminal lawyer. What am I going to be doing there? I am a civil person. I swim in the civil space and not in the criminal space. And you know what? I was told that, you know, when you are a lawyer, you must be able to be versatile. You must be able to do it all. But then I was enticed that there is a space for you. There is a space that practices civil litigation. There's asset forfeiture unit. There is the legal affairs division, and there, you know, you do civil litigation, the civil aspects and everything else. So I said, okay, all right, well, I will go. But then obviously you have to be chosen amongst the others. It's not just a straight, I am appointing you. It's just like that. You have to be quality checked. Your peers are consulted. Just like when you put in your papers for admission as an advocate, you have to place your papers at least at the bar where your application is going to be moved, so that people can come forward and object whether or not you are eligible to be an advocate and practicing law and having people's lives into your hands, etc., etc. So my space is part of government. We get the money from government. Your salary is determined elsewhere. I don't determine your salary. It's determined by the prescripts. It's determined at a chamber level. The labor section does all of that. So when you come into our space, whether you are 60 years, you are 50 years, it doesn't matter. Your salary is determined by the area in which you work. We have determined and set salaries. So you don't think that you're going to come in and negotiate your own personal package. We don't do that. Everything else is out there, is documented. So when you come into our space, you must know that this is a job of 1 million, this is a job of 2 million, this is a job of 3 million. It sits at that space, it doesn't move. However, we cannot ever be any more than a judge president of the Supreme Court of Appeal. So I'm going to stop there with the money part of it. But, you know, out there, when we compare ourselves, NPA is the best place to be. NPA pays more than any other person. Don't say this to anyone, but we are an employer of choice. Watch this space. Maybe we should have a survey that compares all of us, and we will see. I am not just saying this, I know, and from reliable sources I've heard that we are the best. So please come to the best. We are also going to come to universities, but all of this news you're going to hear on the 30th of June. Join that webinar. Please organize us, share that Zoom link with these prestigious members of this platform, and those who are not here, please share it as wide as possible, and people must enjoy themselves. It is June. Go and cook your soup and enjoy it. And I loved being here and I loved talking to you. Any questions that you have, you may post them here or you post them to the supervisors, and I will continue answering those questions if we post this platform. So I will thank you and pause here, organizers.
Wow, thank you so much, Advocate Mukhatla. That was a bucket full of information. Right, students, I think you took notes. You have absorbed everything. You have your questions. Please post them on the chat box. Right, mention to anyone that you are studying law or are a lawyer, and it is likely you will be asked what area of practice you want to go into or are you in. So this is a vast world. Take the opportunity, students. You are halfway there. Right. Next up, we'll invite Advocate Franz Sirohole. Right. Mr. Sam, sorry. No, sorry, my apology. Will I invite Mr. Sam Shadung. Sam Shadung is a senior attorney at Sehwapa Incorporation in Midrand. He attends to the daily functions of running a convenience department. He holds a BProc and an LLB degree, LLB degrees from the University of Limpopo and University of Pretoria, respectively, and was admitted as an attorney of the High Court of South Africa in 2001, notary 2002, and conveyancer 2004. He obtained the practice management certificate with legal education and development from the Law Society of South Africa in 2011. He is enrolled with the Legal Practice Council and is a member of the South African Society of Labour Law. He sits on the panel of examiners for the attorneys admission examinations, wherein he sets question papers for the conveyancing and notarial examinations, marks and moderates the said papers. He also serves on the disciplinary and investigation committees of the Legal Practice Council, Gauteng, wherein he chairs disciplinary hearings into misconduct of legal practitioners.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all as we go through some of the challenges, IT challenges. I'm tasked to talk about the discipline conveyancing, and in short, I would say pose the question, what is conveyancing? Conveyancing is a legal process that takes place when lawful ownership of immovable property is acquired. Basically, you're dealing with transfer of a property from the seller to the purchaser. And what is a conveyancer? A conveyancer is an attorney who specializes in property law. As my former colleague Tsolo has actually set out in detail the requirements for a person to become an attorney. So as a conveyancer, you must first be admitted as an attorney. Thereafter, you write the specialized examination, and that's when you will become a conveyancer, dealing with the registration of properties, mainly residential properties, commercial properties, registration of mortgage bonds, which are security documents or instruments registered over immovable properties, cancellation of mortgage bonds. A conveyancer is more interlinked with what we term notary. Because the notarial work that I'm saying is interlinked with conveyancing is, as I've said, with conveyancing you deal primarily with properties. A conveyancer deals with authentication of documents as well as registration of notarial bonds, which are security instruments registered over movable assets or properties. But it also goes wider than that, because you'll find that as a conveyancer, you're dealing with transfer of mainly, say, sectional titles, which flats, townhouses, which are registered in that registry. You may find that you have to deal with exclusive use areas, which normally your parking bays as well as gardens that are linked to a specific unit or a flat. Therefore, you'll find that a notary has to execute those notarial deed of cessions, which are more or less title deeds over the said exclusive use areas in the form of parking bays, gardens delineated to particular units. And the admission requirements, as I've said, you must first be an admitted attorney. Thereafter, you write that specialized examination, and you will then become a conveyancer. The Law Society of South Africa, through its lead department, offers preparation examinations to become a conveyancer, but there are also various agents that offer courses as well as preparation for examinations to become a conveyancer as such. Now, what does a conveyancer do, like daily duties? As I've said, that this is a field that deals with property. So most of our days work include transferring of properties, attending to the deeds office to execute the title deeds before the registrar, updating your clients, informing them as to all the process up until registration is actually finalized or executed. And why would one need to use a conveyancer? In terms of the Deeds Registries Act, only a conveyancer can execute the title deeds before the registrar in the deeds office. And in South Africa, we have about 10 deeds offices, one for each province, and Gauteng has 2, primarily due to the vast nature of its properties. And conveyancing is a specialized field, as I've said, that you have to be an admitted attorney first prior to being admitted into the conveyancing field. And one would also ask, who chooses a conveyancer to actually deal with a specific transaction? In South Africa, the law requires that the seller must actually choose the conveyancer. And although, things actually changing, because primarily the purchaser is the one who pays the fees. And therefore you find that nowadays people can actually negotiate and agree as to who should actually do the particular transactions. And the fees that the conveyancer charges are actually set by the Law Society of South Africa. It's in the form of a tariff related to, it's a sliding tariff in terms of the value of a property. And ideally, you deal with a conveyancer, as I've said, in verbal transactions. If you're buying a property for cash, for example, you'll find that you're only dealing with one set of conveyancer. But if you don't have the cash, now you may find that you will be in the purchaser, you'll have to deal with 2 sets of conveyancers. One dealing with the transfer of the property, and the other one appointed by the bank to actually deal with the registration of the security documents in the form of a mortgage bond. And there are also instances where the attorney or the conveyancer has to counsel the mortgage bond registered over the particular property. Job opportunities in the conveyancing field. Primarily, once you are an admitted conveyancer, you can run your own practice or be employed as a conveyancer at a particular firm. There are also private, in the private sector, you may find that there are property developers, companies where you can actually be a legal assistant or legal advisor, legal manager, advising those companies on how to deal with properties in the SOE sectors as well. I know PIC plays a huge, has a huge property portfolio. Conveyancers are also required then in government as well as municipalities, mainly dealing with housing departments. The conveyancers are also required to assist and advise the particular departments on how to deal with property matters. And ideally, that will be my presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shidun, for sharing that information with us. Thank you for showing us how vast conveyancing is and clarifying what notaries do as well. I think our students appreciate that a lot, and I hope our students are taking notes of all the exams that are in this field. You guys have a lot of exams to get into the different spheres of the field, and hopefully willing to put in the work in your field. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Shidun. Thank you so much for that. If we have any questions for you, they will be in our chat box. And please remember, students, to fill in our evaluation form that has been posted in our chat box as well. Thank you. Next, on our virtual platform, we have Advocate Elizabeth Newwood. I don't want to butcher your surname, but she has obtained her LLB from the University of Pretoria in 1993, and then she was admitted as an advocate of the High Court in 1994. Currently, she's employed by the Legal Aids of South Africa as the head of office in the Tembisa branch, and she specializes in children's law and representing children. Advocate Elizabeth, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, no, sorry, it's still good morning. How are you? I hope you're well. I was asked to just tell you a bit about legal aid and what you can do in court work and litigation. I always say, if I speak to students, that court work is not for everyone. And I see part of my request or brief was that I must talk to you about job shadowing. And that's really something I would advise you to do. I know in COVID times with the court restrictions and they restrict people going into the courts, I know that is a challenge and I know that is difficult, but I don't think it's impossible, because litigation is really not for everyone. Not everyone wants to stand in a court every day defending an accused who was accused of robbery or rape or shoplifting, or get involved in litigation with regards to contracts or family law, and then you deal with children and with divorces and a lot of messy emotions, and that is not for everyone. So that I would really advise you, if you're now in your final year of LLB and you think, oh, I want to be a litigator, first go and shadow somebody to see if that is really something that you would want to do. Going back to legal aid, we have vocational, or not, but sorry, the articles, and I know there's a new fancy name, sorry, the name has now escaped me, but let's talk about articles. We do currently provide articles for LLB, students that are finished with their LLBs can apply. We are looking into also providing a pupillage program that, however, is still being developed. So I don't know when we will be ready to implement that. I heard my colleague of the NPA talking about their programs. Unfortunately, our programs currently is being curtailed by budget cuts. I think you also feel it in your own life because of COVID, the tax revenues are down, and currently we are looking at budget cuts within legal aid, which affect then the filling of positions. and the programs that we can offer you. But the short and the long of it is that you can do your articles with legal aid. You must visit our website, and I will post on the chat. I will post the address and also my email address if you want to contact me with regards to job shadowing. But we do articles the same as any other private law firm. The only difference is that our candidate attorneys may go into a criminal court every day. So they cover the district courts every day. So they do the shoplifting, the common assault, the malicious damage to property. So if that is something you think, oh, okay, that sounds very exciting, I want to do that, then you can apply to do your articles with legal aid. The salary is between 10,000 and 15,000 Rand a month, depending on in your first year or your second year. Just a word of warning, if you want to come and work for legal aid, we are a compliance-driven company and organization. And if there's 10 boxes to tick, we will ask you to tick 10 boxes. So if that is not part of your DNA, you don't like ticking boxes, you don't like admin, you don't like filling in web pages, you don't like reporting, I would really advise you to think carefully before applying to work for legal aid, because you're going to have 2 years of hell and 2 years of a manager shouting at you and asking you, where's your things, why haven't you submitted? And I don't think any of us want to work in that kind of environment. But the other side, legal aid, we train you, we hold your hand, we help you prepare for the board exams, we help you in terms of training you on the criminal law. You also do civil law, civil matters, if you work for legal aid. Unfortunately, we only have dedicated civil or CAs in our bigger offices like Johannesburg, Pretoria, Durban, Cape Town. They have dedicated candidate attorneys that work in their civil unit. So you won't then go into a criminal court, but those positions are very limited. And as I say, it's only in the cities and the bigger local offices that we have those. But we also have 60 offices countrywide where you can apply to do your articles. And I think you can also understand that I know usually all candidate wants to go to either Gauteng or KZN. If you, however, want to choose one of those bigger cities or the bigger, more popular provinces, you might struggle getting into the organization. So it might help if you are willing to go to your other provinces and to the smaller offices in terms of doing your articles. The other thing that I just want to touch on is the job shadowing. Legal aid, we don't have a formal program dealing with that, but if you go to our website and you get the contact number of the specific local office nearest to you, so for example, Modimolle, you can contact Modimolle, you can talk to the head of office there, and you can say to him, look, you have a holiday coming up, and would it be okay for you to shadow one or two of the practitioners that's going to court, be it a civil court, a criminal court, or both? Go with the civil practitioner, go with the criminal practitioner and shadow them for a few days, sit in with a few consultations, see what is it that they do so that you can see if litigation is something you want to do. The gentleman that spoke before me, he's a conveyancer, he's a notary. There's a lot of opportunities in the legal field for people that does just do, let's call it the paperwork, the drafting of contracts, the vetting of contracts, like conveyancing, the drafting of those contracts. So find out where your love is before you commit to a career of going to court every day, and that is not in your blood, and that is not what you want. I'm gonna in the chat, I'm gonna just put down our website address where you can visit. Also, you'll find the links from there with the recruitment. And you can also there find the list of our offices which you can contact to do jobs shadowing. And if there's, I don't see any other questions that's being posted. So I'm also posting my email address that if you get stuck somewhere, maybe you can't get hold of a local office, please feel free to drop me an email and I can see if I can assist. Unfortunately, I have to leave the presentation. I have a round table to attend to, so I can't stay on, but please feel free to send me an email. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Elizabeth Newvelt. Students, opportunities to work in the legal profession are vast. If you are not sure which route are you taking or which pathway you want to follow, there you've had it. Job shadowing is the way to go. Please make use of this opportunity. Right, okay. Next on our virtual platform, we will invite Advocate Franz Serugole. Right. Advocate Pokhedi Serugole holds the following degrees: a B. Juris, an Honors Penology, an Advocate Certificate Trial Advocate, BLA, that is BLA-LEC. Advocate Pokhedi is a Regional Academic Coordinator at the Northeastern Region UNISA. She is responsible for academic student support programs in the region, that is online tutorials, academic literacy and quantitative literacy programs, postgraduate research programs, work integrated learning, etc. Advocate Pokhedi enjoys research in areas of labor law, mining law, environmental law, intellectual property law, constitutional and administrative law. She's currently pursuing the LLM in labor law and a mini dissertation. Advocate Serugole is currently a practicing advocate of the High Court, specializing in areas of mining, labor and environmental law, marker moderator, PLT Law School, and responsible for labor and alternative disputes resolution modules. He's a member of the National Bar Council of South Africa. Advocate Pokhedi, you may have the virtual mic.
Thank you so much, colleagues, for the invite. I really appreciate to be part of this program, especially as a university, that we are contributing to this element of a social justice, that as a university, we are carrying a social mandate. Together with the social partners, the colleagues in the profession, we are contributing to that social justice factor. So part of the presentations that I'm going to make, it's a career fields in law. But when you look at the scope of the presentation, colleagues, it is more narrowed and confined to areas of constitutional law, administrative law, environmental law, labor law, competition law, and intellectual property law, because this is the areas, colleagues, whereby we want to encourage the aspirant lawyers, especially our students, those who are in the 3rd and the 4th level, if they want to pursue their career in these specific fields, that they need to consider that, especially when they do the elective modules on their final year LLB, that if they want to choose the career in this field, because there is a niche in the market, colleagues, about these careers in these particular disciplines, but there is a slow movement. Especially we encourage aspirant female lawyers to take part in choosing the career in these specific fields, because it is lacking, especially when we speak about we speak about the gender transformation. That encompasses itself the gender representation, because there is a slow movement in this particular field, colleagues. And we encourage our students to participate so that we can able, for example, to open their law firms in this particular field, colleagues, because if you can see, truth be told, that it's only the big law firms that are practicing in these areas of the law. And I'm so grateful to do that. We have Solufelo who's practicing at Norton Rose, that they deal with this. We call it the corporate law or commercial law, because if we can look at emerging Black professionals, we are lacking, truth be told, in these particular areas of the law. So it is a call today in this social dialogue that we encourage our aspirant lawyers, and especially female lawyers, to participate if they want to get to the mainstream of the legal profession, to have an interest in these areas of the law. Let me give you a practical example to say that certain laws in this particular field, competition law, intellectual property law, it is very interesting law. Let me give you a practical example, colleagues. If you want to talk about issues of current issues in competition law, you'll remember very well. Let me give 2 or 3 practical examples. You'll remember the case of the ArcelorMittal case, whereby as the steel makers, they were involved in the collision of fixing prices and discounts in the steel industry. It is one of the cases that we encourage the law students, especially those who want to take the career in this specific field, especially competition law, know how the competition law works, the powers of the competition commission, the powers of the competition tribunal, colleagues, and you will see that it discourages the anti-competitive behavior of certain companies, colleagues. The case of ArcelorMittal is one of those cases. You remember 2010 in the construction industry. The same way, Basel rate, all these companies, stocks, they collude in terms of inflating the prices. In terms of what? It's an anti-competitive behavior at the same time. You will remember also the case of Media 24 itself. And if you want to, for example, to pursue a career in this competition law, there are other areas that you can also involve. Solo will agree with me. Issues of merger and acquisitions. You have seen the merger between the Walmart and the Massmart. You can also see the merger between, for example, the Anheuser-Busch in beverages with SAB Miller, whereby, for example, the merger was approved by the Competition Commission, but with strict conditions, for example, to make sure that jobs are safe in terms of economic recovery plan. So in terms of the corporate law, because it incorporated a lot of areas of the law, banking and finance, corporate structuring, tax law, there are various niche in the market in those particular fields, and we encourage our students to participate in that particular field, for example. Let me give you another practical example about the intellectual property law, whereby there are certain areas whereby you can practice in that particular field. For example, the copyright law, for example, and there's a lot of area of interest, research interest areas in that particular field. The sphere of intellectual property law. You talk about the patent rights, trademarks there. You talk about the artistic works. Say, for example, you want to pursue an LLM or a career in this particular field. You can look, for example, at the collection model of, for example, the SAMRO, in terms of the distribution of royalties, colleagues, to the musician, because there's always a problem with our artists saying that we are not, we die paupers, because SAMRO, it is not equitable distributing the royalties to the artists. You can also look at the artistic works as part of a legal protection, for example. How do you protect the rights of the authors? For example, the creators, the artists, the authors, in terms of the legal protection thereof, colleagues. So, again, the issue of the labor law, because I'm not going to touch all of them, I will only concentrate on these three, colleagues. The area of interest in labor law, the mining law, where I am involved a lot in terms of, say, if you want to pursue a career in this particular field also, colleagues, remember in labor law, you must also know your strength. There is collective labor law that deals with organizational rights, the strikes, the bargaining agreements, collective agreements. Then we also have individual law that deals with what we call dispute of rights, the dismissals, unfair discrimination, and so forth and so forth. So what I want to encourage the colleagues is to say there is a niche in the market in these areas, but students, they are not taking advantage of the niche in the market. If we look at the area of labor law, which is more developing than any other spheres of the law. For example, now, the whole mining industry itself, for example, is struggling maybe with safety issues because of the pandemic COVID, whereby we are busy aligning the safety and principal procedures in the mines so that we align them with the Disaster Management Act. So there is a lot of work that is going on. There is merger and acquisitions also in terms of, say, for example, I'm involved in the matter of Siriti, which is taking over South 32, that was supposed to be BHP Billiton. There is a niche in the market, colleagues, and then also with the BEE component, we stand a chance. So I encourage colleagues to take interest in this particular field, especially the third and the fourth level students. But this must be informed by their elective modules if they want to pursue a career in this particular field. And again, colleague, part of the presentation, I wanted to touch on the issue of the skills that is required for you as an advocate or as an attorney in pursuing careers. Although these aspects of the law that I've mentioned, it is more about non-litigious matters, meaning there are uncontested cases in law. So you need a certain skills. Let's say, for example, on the slides I've got where I've mentioned the skills that is required for you to be a competent an attorney or an advocate in this specific fields of the law, for example. And I want to share with the colleagues that the work that we do, colleagues, trial advocacy, you can name it, colleagues, as legal practitioners. It is more about, we call it an art of persuasion, colleagues. For the young ones, they know very well along the way. You must just know this. If you want to be an attorney, you want to be an advocate, you want to draft, you want to argue, you have oratory skills, all the way, colleagues, is an art of persuasion, meaning what? Hashtag persuasion all the way. If you want to choose this career in terms of litigation, my colleagues have mentioned it, it's about you need a persuasive skills, you need communication skills. Say for an example, if you are an advocate or a lawyer, for example, you move an urgent application in court. You move the papers, you draft the papers. Normally the judge will say, advocate, address me because this is an urgent application. Address me, for example, on the degree of the agency, on the relief that you sought. You need to take the bench in confidence. Address them about the degree of agency. They will keep on saying to you, no, this is a self-created agency. There is no agency in this matter. You need to have the confidence, you need to have the skills, you have that ability, persuasiveness to convince the bench because judges are cruel. Judges, they read. Already when you come to court, they already have your papers. So when they say to you, address us on this particular aspect, you need to take the court in confidence, why you need that order, why the court should grant you order, why should they grant the relief that you sought on your papers, colleagues. So we need those skills, critical thinking skills, know how to apply the law. And all above and everything, colleagues, that have been mentioned here, you need to be driven by a passion. Know yourself, know your strength. If you want criminal litigation, you must know that you've got argumentative skills, oratory skills, you've got the communication skills. If you want to sit in your office, you draft. Something disturbed me here. I think colleagues will share the presentation with you, colleagues. Thank you for that. So what I wanted to emphasize is that if you are in the legal profession, you are encouraged by greed, by thinking that you want quick rich schemes, then you are in the wrong profession, colleagues. That's why, colleagues, they talk about a fit and proper person. There is no definition that in any legal material, colleagues. And I'm encouraging you that as a UNISA students, we do have professionals in the institution, colleagues, that can assist you in these areas of the law that we are not doing well. We do not even have more than 10 black law firms that are specializing in corporate law, colleagues. We need the likes of Tsolofela and you that are coming to this mainstream to form partnerships so that we as advocates, we can able to get briefs in these areas of the law, colleagues. And we encourage you to seek knowledge. As an aspirant lawyer, you need research skills, colleagues, at all the time. You need how to find the law, you need how to interpret the law, even within the institution itself. If you want to for example, to pursue a career in, let's say, for example, cyber consumer law, e-commerce, for example, we've got Dr. Tsebo Tledi, who is in the academic, colleagues, who is knowledgeable about, is an expert in this particular field of the law. You can able to find more knowledge from him. We also, when you want to practice in tax law, we've got Prof. Ogutu is also knowledgeable about this area of the law, for example. Even on competition law, we used to have Prof. Phumuzo Munyai, who is also the first black academic to obtain a doctorate in competition law. Then it means for you as an aspirant academic or aspirant lawyer, it is possible to do that. Although it's no longer with us now because it's with UP as the head of the mercantile law. But we still have Dr. Tsebo Tledi. I think you'll be coming here later on the program, colleagues, to talk about the career path development in terms of if you want to pursue a career in academic, because there is also a niche there. So there are a possible job opportunities, colleagues, related to law. You choose if you wanted to be a business rescue practitioner, a legal advisor in these corporate firms, intellectual property practitioners. It is possible that if you have interest in this particular field of the law, colleagues, you can pursue a career in these fields. Although in terms of the transformation of the legal profession, there is a slow movement of the black law firms penetrating into this mainstream, but we can make strides. You can make it possible as a final year students or third year level students. If you choose this career, colleagues, there is a niche in the market, no doubt about it, because unless you want to pursue other careers, you wanted to be rich quick, for example, you want to practice personal injury claims, REF, and the other things. But the purpose of the presentation that I'm making here with the colleagues is to say, for example, we encourage you to take interest in these areas of the law. because the statistics are poor in terms of gender representation. Even if you talk about the transformation of the legal profession, we are not doing well, colleagues. Truth should be told. We are not doing well in these specific areas of the law. We don't have trademark attorneys. We don't have patent attorneys. Even if as advocate, the briefs are not so well in terms of this area of the field, because it is only Norton Rose, Clive Decker, Bowman Gillifen, all those corporate law firms, big law firms. But what about the emerging block law firms that must come into the mainstream, colleagues? So, lastly, what I wanted to emphasize, if you are going to be an aspirant a lawyer, especially as an advocate or as an attorney, I think issues of ethics are central to this legal profession, colleagues. This must be emphasized, and colleagues must also emphasize it, because if you look what is happening in the industry now, each and every day when you look at the motion court roll, we have 2 to 3 applications where attorneys and advocates are struck off the roll. You do not want to complete your 4-year degree, colleagues. You go all over the way, the past 7 years, for you to be admitted either as an attorney and advocate, for you to be struck off the roll, and you need close to 5 years or 10 years for you to be enrolled. And it is a mountain to climb, colleagues, to move an application for that. So we encourage you, what you do now, you must understand, it's got effect in the future if you want to be admitted as a lawyer or you want to be admitted as an advocate. Avoid criminal record, avoid to be involved in illegal activities, fraud and everything, because when you move application, Advocate Carter emphasizes it a lot, the issue of fit and proper person. That is central to our profession, colleagues. So I emphasize it again, that you need to maintain high degree of ethical standard, high degree of reliability, high degree of integrity as an advocate or as an attorney. We do not want to see what is involved, floating of corporate structures by the lawyers, the VBS scandals. We don't need that. The Deloitte and Chart gave KPMG, for example. So in a nutshell, what motivates you to study law? Do you have a drive by passion, or do you drive by somebody, seeing somebody rich, for example? So you need to understand that this profession, 7 years for you to admit it, you need to take it step by step, enhance your research skills, put your ear on the ground, colleagues, what is happening as a law students. If it is in labor, know about that. 2 weeks back, there was a labor court decision, for example, about the, let me put it, for example, about the legal standing of the majority union versus the minority union. If the decisions of the majority union affect the minority unions in terms of the collective agreement. So you need to understand what is going on, for example. Just as yesterday, if you want to practice in the area of administrative and constitutional law, look at the judgment of the Constitutional Court in terms of the battle of leadership in the Church of Nazareth Church, the Shembe Church. Look at the minority judgment there. Look at the majority judgment. Look at the dissenting judgment of Judge Jafta versus Acting Chief Justice Kambembe. So if you are a law student in the career of law, you need to understand what happened in the field of intellectual property law. What is the case law there? Read the articles there. If you want to pursue constitutional and administrative law, what is happening in the constitutional law jurisprudence? If you want to environmental law, know about the issues of sustainable development, climate change. Check it there. If you want intellectual property, competition law, all these areas of the law, check what is happening in the current news so that you can enhance your skills and then you can able to be a better practitioner in the future. So I want to, I think that is my last slide of the presentation, colleagues, and let me take this opportunity to thank the colleagues, the social partners, the counseling team, under the leadership of Dr. Pitswane. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you so much, colleagues. That's in law we said I submit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Advocate, for that wonderful presentation. The Advocate is really stressing the matter of research and paying attention to your surroundings as a law student, and also encouraging our female candidates to participate in different fields that he mentioned, and also encouraging every one of you guys not to be afraid or shy away from your challenges and from critical thinking. So research, and pay attention. Thank you so much for that, Advocates. And also thank you to Ms. Tulu and Advocate Nomvula for engaging with our students on our chat box. Really appreciate that. Up next on our virtual platform, we have Ms. Beverly Oosthuizen. Beverly Oosthuizen is a Senior Associate in the Dispute Resolution Department at ENS South Africa. Her presence includes various divisions of the High Court of South Africa and the Magistrates Court, as well as other jurisdictions including Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Eswatini. She has worked in various sectors including the financial institutions, mining houses, and South African and international companies and parastatals. Her presentation today will be on desirable attributes for law firm candidates. Thank you. The virtual platform is yours.
Good afternoon. Oh, good morning. I have 1 minute before it's afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this very exciting program today. I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed listening to my colleagues present on different areas of the law. And this truly is, if I can echo what has been said, the law is a terribly exciting area to be going into, not only from a study and academic perspective, but also from a career perspective. So I just want to congratulate all of those who are studying toward their LLBs at the moment. It's a wonderful academic qualification, and I think it just opens a myriad of career opportunities for you. So it's a very exciting time indeed for you. I have been asked this morning just to share a little bit on what firms may be looking for in candidate legal practitioners. Well, that's what used to be called candidate attorneys. As already been indicated, I practice in the area of commercial dispute resolution at ENS Africa, and I think it may assist in presenting this topic, just to share a little bit about the firm that I work at, and also just regarding what that firm does. So I'm just going to start presenting my presentation now. If you just give me 1 moment to share content. Right. There we go. As indicated, I work at ENS Africa. ENS Africa is proud to be Africa's largest law firm. We have 12 offices currently across 7 different countries, a combined total experience of 200 years with over 600 legal practitioners, was called attorneys, working for our offices. Our key values are excellence, novel solutions, and synergy. Now, just on, I'd like to describe just a little bit about what we do. We provide legal, tax, forensic, and intellectual property advice to local and international corporate clients from our offices, which are in Ghana, Kenya, Mauritius, Namibia, Rwanda, South Africa, and Uganda. I've also included here some descriptions of the firm that we have obtained from Chambers Global Guide and Legal 500 EMEA Guide. These guides, as many of you will know, are prepared globally in order to rank and comment on firms across 200 jurisdictions across the globe in order to provide a form of recommendation to prospective clients who are looking for firms in different countries. Now, ENS has been described in these different guides in the following manners. ENS Africa's sheer size, depth of senior resources and commitment to Africa coverage makes it a go-to firm for domestic and cross-border deals. ENS Africa possesses deep experience operating across the African continent. ENS Africa is also widely praised as the preeminent firm in the market. We have exceptional depth of knowledge and innovative solutions to complex problems, and we show the utmost dedication and commitment to clients and matters. Now you might ask, why am I telling you this? The reason why I want to share this with you is that when looking at the question of what attributes are law firms potentially looking for in candidate legal practitioners, one has to look to what that firm provides to the market. And in this, I particularly draw your attention to the last 2 points on this slide, which shows that ENS's knowledge, innovative solutions, utmost dedication and commitment to clients. Those are attributes which our firm, among others, offers to clients. And in order for our firm to offer those kinds of attributes to clients when rendering services to them, it's necessary that our legal practitioners have those attributes and that our candidate legal practitioners also have those attributes. All right, I'm now going to move on to the particular attributes that one may say that firms would look for in candidate legal practitioners. But I just want to pause for a moment because it is very important that I mention up front that there is no closed or exhaustive list of attributes that a firm will be looking for, where a firm sits with a checklist and ticks off what attributes you do or don't have. As wide and unique and wonderful as the legal arena is, where there are so many different areas in which to practice, as has been demonstrated by my colleagues who've presented before me, there are just so many areas of subject matter, so many career opportunities, and in the same way, there are so many different personalities that are drawn to these different career opportunities. And it's for that very reason that there can be no closed list, a checklist of attributes that if you have these attributes, then you will be a good candidate legal practitioner, or if you don't have these attributes, then no, you won't be. Because what's fundamentally important in legal practitioners is that they be themselves, because each legal practitioner brings to the table a set of attributes, skills and abilities that are unique, and it is that which is such a valuable element and resource in this wonderful and wide arena of law in which we get to practice. So what I've set out here is a general guideline on some general attributes which may be considered valuable in candidate legal practitioners and which may be useful for candidate legal practitioners to consider. And many of these, you will note, you will most likely have already developed during the course of your LLB studies. So if I can go through these, I will also then, you'll see in the right-hand side of my presentation screen, I have indicated in a block where firms look for these attributes so that you can understand, even though there's an attribute, for instance, of diligence, how do we know whether or not, we feel that you have demonstrated a form of diligence? This sets out where the firm will look for that skill or attribute when assessing an application for either articles, practical vocational training, as it is now called, or for vacation work. All right. So first of all, you will see on the pie chart, the yellow section there, that I've indicated that an applicant's diligence and ability to apply themselves to the work at hand is most probably the most crucial aspect of any candidate legal practitioner. It is necessary when working at any firm, whether it be a corporate law firm or any other firm, that you are diligent, that you're able to apply yourself to the tasks presented. This often necessitates continued, dedicated and committed work over lengthy periods of time, many long hours, where precision and diligence is required, and also just applying yourself not only to simply performing the task, but applying your mind truly to what is needed in order to bring novel solutions and unique attributes to the work as it may be required. Now, you may ask, when sitting in an interview, whether it be for vacation work or whether for articles or practical vocational training, how would the person interviewing you know that you are a diligent person who has soundly applied themselves to the tasks at hand in your own life? And the firm there would be looking at your academic performance. This is where you have completed your LLB or any prior degree that you may have had the opportunity to study. They will consider how you have performed and applied yourself to those studies. They will also, of course, consider anything else that you've applied or set out in your CV, which demonstrates your diligence to a particular task and how you've applied yourself, whether that be to a university society, a charitable organization, or any other project. Then moving on to what is the second largest or most significant aspect or attribute that a firm may look for is your general standard of productivity. Because while it is very important that you're able to apply yourself diligently over lengthy periods of time to the work you're doing, it is very important that you are productive in producing the result that is required, not only spending time on a matter, but actively achieving the outcome of the project or task given to you. Now, again, when the firm considers whether or not you have demonstrated this attribute, they will again be considering your academic performance. So therefore, your academic performance is very important on an application. But again, I pause here to mention it is not the sole requirement or the sole consideration that will be considered. So while it is important, it is not the start and the end of an interview process, not by any means. We then move on to what I think many of you could have already guessed, research skills. Research skills are very, very important, not only at the start of your legal career as a candidate legal practitioner, but for the entire duration of your legal career. An in-depth knowledge of the law is a fundamental attribute for any successful legal practitioner, and the law, being as exciting and diverse as what it is constantly evolving and changing and being amended, and therefore it's important that candidate legal practitioners and legal practitioners themselves remain on top of the law. And we do this by researching the law, keeping abreast of changes, keeping abreast of new cases, changes and developments to the common law, and not only reading up about it, but when you're actually applying yourself to the work that has been given to you during your articles, it will be important that you have analytical skills that accompany those research skills to not only read and research, but to identify the aspects in those cases or those journals that you're reading which are applicable to the case you are working on, and to take away important aspects or points made in those cases or journals or other academic writings that you can then successfully apply to your client's case in order to achieve the results that they are hoping to achieve. Then we move on to, we could then potentially speak to as the non-academic aspects of your CV, and those largely circle around people skills, social skills. And the wonderful aspect of being a student and studying at university is that you have a wide range of lecturers to interact with, you have a wide range of fellow students, and very often wide circles are social circles where you are interacting, you're engaging, you're pursuing your passions and your interests. And while those all may seem fun and non-academic, those are fundamentally important to your career, because it's not only the academic side of your performance at university that is important to the development of a candidate legal practitioner, but also all those social aspects, because during those social aspects, you are in fact gaining and developing and honing skills that will be so important for you as a candidate legal practitioner in corporate practice. And firstly, we can divide those social skills into social skills with your colleagues, the ability to interact efficiently and successfully and amicably with your fellow colleagues, whether that be fellow candidate legal practitioners or with the legal practitioners who will be working at the firm that you do your articles at. It's important in law to be able to work as part of a team. In corporate practice, very often the matters you work on will require a team to work on those matters. Often team members come from different disciplines, whether that be commercial dispute resolution, property law, IP law, natural resources, banking and finance, competition. The list is endless of all the different legal arenas where colleagues may be coming from, and you will come together very often to work together on matters in order to achieve the same goal for the client. Therefore, it's very important that you are able to interact comfortably and sociably and well with your fellow colleagues, because a team that is harmonized and works well together can more easily achieve the desired outcomes for the client. And that, after all, is part of the reason why we are here in practice, is in order to service the needs of the client in order to achieve the client's goals. Then if we go one step beyond just having a comfortable and good sound working relationships with our colleagues, it's also very important in corporate practice to have excellent skills when it comes to your clients. You will be engaging with clients directly and indirectly, both verbally over the phone, Teams meetings, in correspondence, and in person, albeit lesser so at the moment during our during the COVID pandemic. But it's very important that you have the ability to engage meaningfully, to engage sincerely and effectively with your clients in a manner that makes your clients feel comfortable. Remember, clients have come to you as a legal practitioner because they are facing some form of a legal situation, whether that be a merger and acquisition, the buying or the purchasing of a company or a business, or whether it be a dispute that they are having between companies, a private dispute they may be having with their neighbors, you name it. Whatever that type of dispute or whatever the cause that has brought your client to you, they've come to you because they're seeking your advice, they're seeking your assistance, and they want to walk away feeling comfortable and happy that they've come not only to the right firm, but to the right legal practitioner. And therefore, it's very important that you're able to get along with your clients in a way that makes your clients feel at ease, makes your clients know that you are prioritizing their matter, that you understand their needs. It's not just about a work situation, it's that you understand your clients, you understand what their concerns are, and that you are personally committed to ensuring that you do your utmost to assist those clients. So all the while you are at university and applying yourself diligently and meticulously to your studies, you're also developing social relationships with friends, with colleagues, fellow students and lecturers. And I want you to remember that during those social interactions, you are in fact honing and developing your skills one day to engage and interact with clients and to be able to engage with them in a way that makes them feel comfortable, at ease. And remember, your attorney is not only a professional guide or a professional you go to for advice, they also become your confidant, somebody who you want to know and appreciate, understands where you're coming from, somebody who takes you seriously, and somebody who meaningfully applies themselves to your matter. So being an attorney to someone is more than simply a formalistic exchange of documents or correspondence. You have become somebody's confidant, and that requires us to be able to engage with that person in a meaningful and comfortable manner. Right, then the final aspect, general aspect I want to touch on today is that of administration skills. Now, a large component of a legal practitioner's daily life, aside from working on their client matters and assisting clients with their needs, is staying on top of the administration aspects of practice. The legal practitioners have various administrative tasks, not only legislative, but also just toward good governance of their own practices, whether that be sole practitioners running their own firms, or if you are in partnership with fellow colleagues. And in order to assess whether or not somebody is practicing or has the ability or demonstrates the potential to have sound administrative skills, a recruiter or a firm may look at your CV and all the aspects you have set out in your CV and all the different activities you participate in order to assess whether you have managed to balance your studies with your other priorities. Because just as you are required as a student to balance your academic performance and the time you need in order to submit assignments or study for your tests and exams, in a similar manner, you are going with your social and other extramural activities. So in practice, you'll be required to balance not only your work on client matters, but also the other priorities you have as a legal practitioner, of an administrative nature, of a nature that isn't directly linked to client matters. I beg your pardon, I see that I skipped over when addressing social skills, how firms assess or attempt to assess a candidate's social skills. Now, you will see there that I've indicated that when assessing your social skills, aside from the actual interview itself, where a lot of interaction takes place, a firm will look at your extracurricular involvement. They will see what type of activities you're involved in, whether you have taken part in societies, whether you're involved with sponsors or vendors, whether you've participated in charitable events, any type of team structure or structure where you're required to have engaged successfully with peers, colleagues, or members of society. That will demonstrate your ability to engage and interact with fellow people. So that's why when I mentioned earlier that while your academic performance is absolutely important for any CV, it is not the start and the end of your CV or your interview process, because equally important are other attributes, and equally important is your involvement in extracurricular activities, things that you are passionate about, things that you find interesting, things that give you a balance to your academic studies, because it's from those things that prospective employers will glean certain attributes about your personality, such as your social skills, both with your colleagues, social skills with non-colleagues, which would in future be clients, and also just your general administrative skills or the ability to administer your own lives in a balanced manner. So I hope that this general summary of some certain general attributes has been helpful. I just reiterate that this is a general general skills or general attributes that firms may be looking for in candidate legal practitioners. But what's very important is that you bring your own unique set of attributes, your own unique set of skills, and your own unique personality to the table, because that is highly, highly valuable and highly desirable in any legal practitioner, is that you be yourself and that you bring your special set of skills to the table when attending to clients' unique needs. For any students who would like the opportunity to apply either to complete practical vocational training, which is your articles, or to participate in one of our vacation programs, you're invited to submit the following documents, which are set out on the screen now, to the email address that's also set on the screen, graduates@unisafrica.com. We ask that you submit a motivational or cover letter, your current CV, a complete academic transcript of your academic careers up until this point. We appreciate that you will still be in the process of completing your LLB, so submit your academic transcripts up until the present point. Also a copy of matric certificate, your A-level or equivalent high school certificate, a copy of your identity document or passport or equivalent, and a reference letter or a testimonial, which will be optional, but if you have it, it would always be great to add in. Alternatively, you can also look at our website, where we have an online application form that you can fill out and upload your documents. So any student who is interested in exploring a career in corporate law further and who would like the opportunity to apply for a vacation program or to complete your articles at the firm, you are invited to submit your application, and your application will be assessed then together with other applicants in the process. This brings me to the end of my presentation on this topic. I just want to thank you so much for having me this morning. I really hope that what I've said has been of some use to you and that you'll be able to take away something just to consider while you are preparing your various applications, either for vacation work or for articles to whichever firms you have chosen to apply to. And I wish you everything of the best in those application processes, and I'm terribly excited for your future careers as legal practitioners in this legal field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Oosthuizen. That was very, very informative. Thank you. Students, I think you are taking notes, and I guess you are spoiled for information. Do you know where you want to end up? Well, you've heard the law is a big wide world. Don't let yourself be limited. Use your LLB as a foundation for growth. Right. Up next, I'll invite Dr. Sebo Tladi. Right. Dr. Sebo Tladi holds the following degrees: an LLD with UNISA, LLM with UP, LLB with UP, and BL Juris with Vista University Mamelodi campus. Dr. Sebo is a senior lecturer in the Jurisprudence Department College of Law at UNISA. She teaches legal philosophy and IT law, cyber law modules and undergraduate, postgraduate level. In addition, she supervises postgraduate LLM and LLD students on different IT law topics. Dr. Sebo has published articles and presented papers in conference proceedings. She has upcoming chapters in in 3 books: Cyber Law in Africa, Gender and Cyberspace, Online Consumer and Spam. Dr. Sebo reviews various IT cyber law articles for the South African Mercantile Law Journal and the Journal of Law, Society and Technology. She is she's also an advocate at the High Court of South Africa. Dr. Sebo, there you are. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Makue. Morning, everyone. I hope you hear me clearly. I'm one of those who've got a soft voice. So you might hear me, you might not hear me, but I'll do my best to speak up. Thank you very much for the invite. And I was listening to most of the speakers because I was in and out. We have an online class for one of the modules that I'm teaching. At least today, one of the people that I'm teaching with was doing the class, was sharing in that class. But to all the speakers, well presented papers or sharing, it also helped for me, to get me into this. So as I was looking at the program itself, I saw that I was the last one on the program, and I'm an academic, and I thought to myself, as students, you are not going to do all the things that they've talked about earlier, sorry, before you go through me, because I'm an academic. Without wasting any time, just to go to the, what the definition of academic is, this term really is used to describe things that relate to the work done in schools, colleges, and universities, especially work which involves studying and reasoning rather than practical or technical skills. And I'm glad because some of the presenters touched upon practical and technical skills, analytical skills, critical thinking, and as students, you can see already that's important. So when Dr. Tladi tells you to do your referencing, and I see you've got referencing down there on the program, then I'm not just saying do referencing for the sake of doing referencing. You will need these skills moving forward. So I'm just gonna also, an African proverb, going to the African proverbs. One that I like says that if you wish to move mountains tomorrow, you must start by lifting stones today. And also, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. Another one, the last one, there are no shortcuts to the top of the palm tree. Those are all African proverbs. So as students already, there is a big, you've got a huge mountain in front of you, which is an LLB degree. And an LLB degree, you are here at UNISA because you have your national certificate. You've attained that from high school, and now you are getting into UNISA to do the LLB degree. It's a 4-year qualification program. There are 40 modules on this program. 480 credits, and some modules are compulsory and others are elective modules. So I'm teaching, I fall also under those modules. So what the brief CV that was read, really it's what I do. It has explained to you what I do and what the work of an academic entails, if you would like to be part of us here. So I already talked about your LLB degree. Some of you might be at different levels, others first year, second year, third year, others might be on the verge of finishing. And when you get to there, then I've got 2 modules that I'm teaching already, legal philosophy, and which is compulsory, and also legal aspects of electronic commerce. I know Advocate Sirogole also introduced, or he highlighted some of the most important areas of law that students do not necessarily think about, and I fall into that one of those, which is IT law or cyber law. Basically, there we are looking at how the internet has, transformed how we do things. You heard people talk about contracts. Contracts used to be this paper, I'm there to sign, there's something in writing. Now the question is, have you concluded a contract online by just signing at the end of the email? Is that a contract? Was it concluded? And those who are in my class would know that, of course, that is an email. The name at the end of the email would constitute a signature at the end of that contract. So those are some of the exciting things that are happening in the legal fraternity. So don't just settle for the normal or the usual areas that we're in. And I'm also thankful that Advocate Sirogole, that you touched upon gender issues. It's not only in the the legal fraternity itself, it's also in academic spaces. We all know South Africa comes from a history that we are still, even today, we still have it dealing with the recesses of what has happened. So even in academic spaces, we find those kind of issues that are challenging us. So what do I do as a lecturer? Don't be frightened by the LLD. You don't need to be a doctor first to become to get into academic spaces. What you need to do, your qualifications, you have to complete your qualifications. When I started out, we had what we call a BUris degree, and that was followed by those people who wanted to be prosecutors. Someone from who was a prosecutor spoke earlier on. Those who were doing BProc then, we knew that they were going to be attorneys. So I started mine with the BUris. It was a 3-year degree, and then I moved on to do my LLB, then my LLM, my master's, and then my doctorate. Finished off at UNISA in 2017, while I was now in the system. So I started off as a lecturer. You will find that there are different levels. Others, depending on the institution, you will find that in other spaces there will be what you call a junior lecturer. But I started as a lecturer, then I moved up. I'm now a senior lecturer. Then logically, the next step will be an associate professor, and then a professor, a full professor, which is the highest rank in this in this academic stream. So as a lecturer, those 4 levels that I have talked about, we all do more or less the same things, but depending on your rank, then others will do more. For instance, a full professor is expected to mentor other colleagues in the college to help them with their research, to mentor them in whatever way that mentoring is needed in that particular. An associate professor will also do the same. A lecturer, senior lecturer, now I'm teaching 2 modules, and then there are other things that I'm doing that I will get into. And then as a lecturer, you'll find you will be assigned, once you get into the system, you'll be assigned a group with which to work in. I'm in the IP and IT group. And I'm also in jurisprudence in teaching legal philosophy. I'll be assigned, there'll be a module leader there, and now I'm module leader for both these modules. Then you have a group of people with which you work with. I said earlier on that one of the colleagues that I'm working with is giving a class now. You engage with me. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Although there was
yeah. So where did I leave off? If you remember.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I can't.
Okay, no, it's fine. I'll just move on. So as a lecturer, what we do, your tutorial letters, for instance, that you are receiving at the beginning when you register, we have compiled the tutorial letters. We are responsible for setting your questions for the assignment questions and exam questions, for marking, for moderating, for reviewing. That is basically the work of an academic in this institution. That will be my first KPA. So this is how I'm gonna do it as an academic. We have what you call key performance areas. There are 5. So the first one is teaching and learning. So that is basically what I do. I also address your queries, and now you know these modules that I'm teaching. Long before pre-COVID, these modules were online already. So that meant that I also had to manage the site, the My UNISA site, whatever that needs to be managed, whether the discussion forums or sending announcements or uploading assignment questions on those sites. The 2 modules that I'm involved in are final year modules. The one legal philosophy is compulsory, and the other one is an elective. So you either choose to do it or not. There's a pool of elective modules that are out there that students can take to complete their their LLB. So that is my teaching, and that teaching also includes, apart from me managing the modules, whether via tutorials or doing all sorts of things, I also have to supervise. You heard that I'm supervising master students and I'm co-supervising doctoral students in various IT law matters or cyber law matters or internet law matters, whichever people use. So term they prefer. So I do that as part of my teaching. So it means that once you finish your LLB degree, you have complied, I think, with the 40 credits, 480 credits that I have mentioned earlier, then some students will decide, you know, I don't want to do academics anymore. I just want to be and open up my own office or be a prosecutor or do this and that. Others will say, I want to continue in the academic space because I've enjoyed, you know, or I feel I need to contribute to the knowledge that is out there. Then they'll register for their master's degree to work on their masters. Masters you have and masters in research, which you just write. You are just writing, compiling a dissertation. And then the other masters we call a coursework. You do perhaps 3 or 2 modules plus a mini dissertation, which doesn't require that much work as the research one. So that's the key, the first key performance area that I'm involved in. The second one is research. I think the speaker before me was talking about research, that you need to do research. Imagine if you finish your LLB degree and then you are going to be attorney, but you still don't want to research. Even as myself, as an academic, you can see also from the qualifications that it's due to that research that you move up, not only to move to the next level to get to that highest ranking, but also most importantly in this day and age is to contribute to the knowledge that is out there. And hence that's why we need to also insert ourselves and move into those spaces that we are not necessarily found in, especially as Black women. So research here for me includes, or for also my colleagues, it's said in the mini CV that I write and I publish articles and papers, or in conference proceedings. It means I have to go to conferences and present in my field of you know, expertise or whatever that I'm specializing in. I have to write articles, and then some of those articles, we use them in your assignments depending on what module you are doing, for students to critically analyze and to see what the other commentators are saying about a particular issue. If you still remember the module that you did, Introduction to Law, it has introduced you to all the spheres of law that we are talking about today and more. And it also told you that resources will be your legislation and your cases, and then there will be legal opinions by authors. So I'll fall under the legal opinions. So I have an opinion regarding a particular section in the act or regarding an act. So that's where the writing of articles come in, and they have to be published in a journal of whatever journal that is out there. Those articles have to be reviewed by peer reviewed by experts in that field before they can be published as well. So now I'm writing, it also includes chapters in books. I have to write chapters in books. You know, it's books, it's articles, it's conferences and all those. Now the third one, it will be then academic citizenship. So as an academic, again, there are meetings, there are committees in the university, even in the college, there are committees in the college, in the institution itself, or in a department. So I'm part of some of those committees. It means that I have to take part in the meetings, whatever that is done in a particular committee, I'll have to sit in that committee and do the things that are related to that committee. For instance, just one that comes to mind, I'm a member of the Higher Degrees Committee, where we review topics, LLM and LLD titles of students to see if they meet the standards, and if they don't, then we advise where possible. And others, there are lots of them. So, but that is part of the things that I do. I have to attend departmental meetings. I have to, in addition to the academic citizenship, involved in other committees in the institution itself. I also have to be, again, attending those conferences that I talked about earlier on. And I also do peer reviewing articles, IT law articles for people or colleagues all over, whoever is who's contributing to that particular journal, then I'll be reviewing. For instance, now I'm the assistant editor of the Journal of Law, Society and Technology, which is an in-house journal at UNISA. Then my favorite, community engagement. That's my KPA for community engagement, because there I get to engage with students, and I've been engaging with students for the past 5 years, and I've really enjoyed that simply because it gives us time as students. I mean, it gives us as not as students, as lecturers to engage with students who are out there, to find out from them what is it that they need assistance with. So in particular, I'm talking about the 4K plan. So the 4K plan really addresses the issue that is lacking that the others have highlighted earlier on skills, whether it's research skills, those soft skills, oratory skills, critical skills, analytical skills. And there we have the writing retreat. We have the student debates, we have the PLT, we have street law, and then all those. So students are encouraged to take part in those because they also help them to get into the next area of their journey, whether they're going to practice or they're going to be researchers or they're going to be legal advisors wherever they go. And the last one is mentorship. So we mentor, I'm also expected to mentor colleagues or students, which we do in those KPAs, the community engagement one. And I'm also going to ask, tell students that take this opportunity to get into we've got a law essay competition, the legal essay competition that you can enter into. The due date is 30th January. I'll leave my my email address on the chat so that students who inquire about the 4K plan, then I can also direct you to other people. So that also helps you with your writing then skill as a lawyer to get into those competitions, right? And you continuously do research. So those are the 5 things that an academic does at the institution, and it will differ in each level. A lecturer, for instance, won't have a lot of work that I'm doing because they are now getting into the system. You would have had, you can come in having your LLB degree if that is a requirement. We are gonna, when the advertisements go out, there are certain requirements that you must meet. So they might say, okay, for a lectureship, just have an LLB or an LLB and an LLM, then you can apply. You must have this, you must have that. As the previous speaker has already said that, when you want to become a candidate attorney, there are some things that you also need to do. Without wasting any time, I think I've covered all my KPAs that I'm doing. The most important thing is to know that wherever you're going, you're also taking yourself with. So wherever it doesn't matter whether you have all degrees or stuff, wherever you're going, you are taking yourself with. So make sure that you are investing in yourself as a human being. Sorry, understand what your personality is and how you relate to other people. And I also try to understand what other people's personalities are. We've got Google, you can go at Google and do a personality search, find it there, and then just find out who you really are, because that will help you when you are dealing with issues in the workspace, regardless of which workspace it is, so that you can also be able to manage conflict, understanding who you really are. My last thoughts on this will be a quote by the United Negro College Fund. I love this quotation. It says, "The mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a beautiful thing to invest in." So I encourage all students to invest their minds in beautiful things. Invest in things that are enriching you, that are developing you, things that will take you far. And maybe my last thought would be this: I didn't set out to become a lecturer when I was growing up. That was the last thing on my mind. But I had set up to study law because in my teenage years, I just saw people, on TV in courtrooms and stuff. And for me, that was fascinating. And I thought I'll do that. But I never set out to be a teacher. So you can have a certain focus in life. Just know that you will never know where you'll end up in life. So take whatever that is out there. Somebody talked about shadowing. Also volunteer. If there are no jobs out there, volunteer. It doesn't matter whether you are getting paid or not, or you are getting paid little. Do something in order for you to get there. So I started off at the Center for Human Rights, being an assistant there doing socioeconomic rights. Then I went on to SARS to be an assistant taxation officer. Then I ended up at UNISA, where I'm currently moving up the ranks. So with that, I'd just like to encourage you students and thanking the organizers for doing this. When I was growing up, there was no career guidance, engagement of some sort. So students are very fortunate to have this, and we do hope that you find your way out of finish your degrees and move on to other things. Thank you, organizers, and thank you for those who are listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sebo, for that lovely presentation, telling our students that there is no shortcuts. So we have no shortcuts on anything. And she also gave us insights from the academic side of things. And she's also the one of the people that you'll pester for most of your academic career, because you'll be sending emails on your frustrations, and she'll be one of the people on the background answering you and giving the assistance that you need also. And also she answered a question that I saw about mentorship. So she said that they do mentor students, so maybe you must send an email and inquire about that to them so that she can help you. So the next item on our program will be the panel discussion and the question and answer session. So I would like our student panelists to introduce themselves and say what they do and where they are from, and the representative from BLASK as well. And then my colleague will also ask some questions that she has, and I'll ask the questions that we don't answer that are on our chat box. Thank you.
Good day, everyone, and I am Olga Pumzile Masango, a final year student in LLB right here at UNISA. And I'd like to firstly take the opportunity to thank the platform that I have been given as a panelist to this event today. It's such an enriching event, and so far we've taken notes and we are truly appreciative of this event. So today as a panelist, I was asked to address frustrations of students, mostly academically and professionally. So as a student, in my experience, especially in the institution we as UNISA students are exposed to in an open distance learning, it is quite a different setup, but it's actually a setup that works for us, given to experiences that makes us want to apply to the institution and learn there in the first place. So as of such, we tend as students to limit ourselves and tell ourselves that we are not exposed to a lot of things, but when we actually are exposed to a lot of things, just need initiating from you as a student to take part in such things, such as this event. As a student, academically, we face challenges of adapting to the technical phase of being a student, adapting to the pandemic as well as a life experience, adapting to your home situation and being a student. It tends to take a toll on you as a student, and especially in the College of Law, as you are required, your curriculum on its own requires a lot of you. So as a student, these challenges are bound to be there, because if they weren't bound to be there, I think everybody would be doing this thing of being a student and this thing of learning. But what's important, it's the self-discipline that you have to entail yourself. And I think it works not only for you as a student, but as in your future career as an employee or employer or whatever venture you want to venture in. As a person, you have to be dedicated and have that self-discipline. So in all frustrations, whether it being having a full-time job and still being a student, especially in the College of Law, whether be it having difficulties and problems at home and still having to go back to your studies and focus, the most important thing you should carry out is that what you have started, you have to finish. I think Dr. Tladi has quoted on a quote that says, if you wish to move mountains tomorrow, you start by picking up stones today. It's simply as that. It's a journey based on that whatever we do as students in our frustrations, we should carry on with the momentum of finishing what we have started, regardless in every situation you've been placed. Then to enrich on on professional challenges, as I think it was addressed by most speakers today, and I think as the university for creating such an event for students, it was actually profound and very enriching on our sides, because professional challenges we face a lot as students is that what happens after my degree? What happens after school? What am I going to do? So most speakers address that. Most importantly, firstly, it's knowing what you're good at and venturing into it. Especially as a female, we are given opportunities there's largely vast opportunities in the field of law that we can embark on. So it's such an encouraging journey as a female to be able to say that today as a student, I've learned that I am exposed to a lot, but also in general as a student, we are being exposed to a lot. So it's also encouraging because we are normally frustrated about, yes, I know I want to do articles, but how am I going to go about that? To apply, you need a properly based CV, you need a properly based cover letter, you need your academic transcripts. How do I go about it? How do I go about making a professional CV as a student? How do I go about going to ask for vocational work, whether be it voluntarily or applying to law firms? So I think most speakers today have addressed such frustrations, and I hope students were taking notes, because from today's concept, we have learned that actually there is a lot in the field of law to be explored. It's not only about the basics that we know of being an attorney or an advocate. It's actually a vast, you can even be an academia, you can even be a lecturer. It's actually vast at SAIT. So as being a student panelist, on behalf of the students, I'd like to say to the speakers, it was actually fruitful because most of the things that we were going to address as challenges were answered. So as well as me being a final year student panelist to today's event, I heard somebody talking about mentorship. I'm also part of the UNISA Student Mentorship Program 2021, which is exposed to all students of all colleges. And we encourage students to sign up to get mentors and be mentees, because such opportunities are going to help you to be exposed to such events and are going to help you to be enriched in getting help in any challenges you may face as a student. So the university is there for students, for its staff, for everyone. It's open for us as students, as we sing today. And I just hope that as students in the College of Law, we have added to more things to see that our frustrations are actually answered if we paid attention and take part in such participations. So thus far, I think, and I thank the opportunity that we were given today. And on behalf of students and mentors, we'd like to thank the departments involved in such an event, because truly our frustrations were really addressed today regarding our future as final year students or first year students, in regard as we know what we got ourselves into. And today to have professions to talk about it and address us in such a way, it's to show us that where do we stand, what do we need to correct, and who to approach in future regarding our frustrations, our experiences, or what we want to endeavor into the future. So thus far, from the student panelist perspective, I'd like to say everything academically and professionally from today's event was actually fruitful. And for that, I guess it will be the questions and answer session and students to engage in.
Up next is Blask, and then we're inviting Noma Gugu Mahlangu to share with us what are they doing at Blask, and how can students get involved or join. Thank you, Noma Gugu. The virtual floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I hope you can hear me. With all protocol observed, greetings to all. Firstly, I would like to thank you for inviting me and affording me the opportunity to address you at this important meeting. My name is Noma Gugu Mahlangu. I'm the National Secretary General of Black Lawyers Association Student Chapter. When you are a student at UNISA, you will truly learn the meaning of the expression, no man is an island. In my journey as a student,
Sorry, Noma Gugu, you are not audible.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. So as I was saying that as a student, in my journey as a student in an ODL institution, I have learned that I require the company and support of others in order to succeed. That is why I made a decision to join the BLA student chapter. So today I was asked to talk about BLA student chapter. What is BLASC? The role of BLA student chapter in institutions, and how can you benefit as a member? So what is BLASC? The BLA student chapter is an auxiliary wing of Black Lawyers Association, and it was established in 2010 by President Mayodi and others who were concerned about matters of equality and justice in institutions of higher learning, amongst other things. They also decided, in line with our mother body, that there was a need to bridge the gap between leaving university and entering the legal profession. And that is what the student chapter has been doing within universities until today. So we have branches in almost every university in South Africa that has a college of law, and we are still in process of launching other branches. We run programs that equip students with the right tools to help them when entering the legal profession. We put you in groups where we share study materials, and we also help each other with assignments should you not understand or have problems with your assignments. We don't only share study materials, though. We have legal research officers that keep us up to date with what's happening in our profession. They share with us court cases, new legislation that we in return we have to discuss in those groups. And also in partnership with other organizations, we do programs like debates, we do moot courts, and some of our programs that we have held in the past are shadowing programs where we would, I think we did a magistrate court shadow, we did shadowing at the master's court, and we are hoping to do a lot in the coming months. Also, with our mother body's help, they also help us with work and articles. They share information as well. And also we do community outreach programs, which is my favorite. The BLA student chapter, together with our mother body, we believe in giving back to the community. So last year we went to the community of Dobsonville and we offered to draft wills for free and offer legal advice. We also worked with inmates at Leoko Prison, to name a few of our community outreach programs. And also, lastly, I mentioned that the need to establish a student chapter was based on the equality and justices within our institution. So the BLA student chapter has been involved in assisting students with different challenges in institutions. Could be discrimination, sexual harassment, and gender issues. So as Bongingos has mentioned earlier, we then took the Minister of Education and UNISA to court to set aside a decision that excluded 20,000 students, amongst other things. And also we deal with a lot of cases of discrimination that we represent students within the institution. Also, in closing, why is it beneficial to join the student chapter? During our studies, we also, why is it beneficiary to join the student chapter? I think I was listening to one of the speakers, I think it was Miss Beverly, who mentioned that when they look at your CV, they look at your involvement with societies and organizations. So being a member of the BLA student chapter, you can put that also in your CV. And also, our mother body always invites us to their events where you get to meet attorneys with law firms, advocates like our advocate Nomvula. We meet magistrates where you can discuss and chat, and they can advise you in your careers. So I think in your journey as a student, I would advise that the students must join organizations in order to be assisted during and after they graduate. So I think I've covered everything about the BLA student chapter. And should you be interested in joining our organization, you may send us an email at blaskinfo at gmail.com. So it's blaskinfo at gmail.com. Thank you.
That was very interesting. Students, you've heard you can join BLASK anytime. You'll be assisted and supported in various ways. Okay, I'll invite my colleague Gugu to present the questions from the chat box.
Thank you, Zilla. Thank you for that. These questions are meant for our panelists or our presenters, Ms. Tulu, Advocate Namvula, Advocate Sirokole, Ms. Oosthuizen, Dr. Sebo, and all our other presenters. The first question I'm going to read is, as a law student, how does one get himself a good and willing mentor to groom him and hold his hand in these early stages of one's career? I'm looking for one. Kind regards.
Hi again. Well, I've made some comments on the side, but it would be good to hear what the other speakers have to say about it. But my take is, as the Nomagugu was saying, look, she found that she needs to be with people and get the support of people. So coming from a university, you're not at university alone, you are with your fellow students, you have your professors, you have your lecturers, you have your parents, you have everyone. So I would suggest that you join the professional associations, belong to them, know what the programs are in there, but there are programs within the LPC. In fact, the law obliges the LPC to nurture and encourage learning amongst the young legal practitioners. So there are programs that are earmarked even at the Department of Justice. Please follow up on whether you're interested in whatever field, just follow that and find out what are the programs that are in there. And peer reviews, we've got the D-Rebus, we've got the Advocate as the journals and the publications that are out there where people write articles, and you can also, write there and say, look, this is who I am, I'm interested in this and that, write articles, do all of that. Then when you're looking for a mentor, they will have a reference point as to what kind of a person are you? Who are you in the field? What do you like to eat? ENS spoke about the qualities that are required. So all of those things, it's who you play with, how you play. Do you play by the rules? Don't you play by the rules? If you haven't played by the rules, what are your stances? What are your defenses? When you want to push the boundaries, what do you do? Are you confining yourself with the applicable laws that are just here, or do you push it? So it's all about who you are, how you approach people. There are people who are approachable. So any other platform is available, whether it's from this platform, you see that you like Pinky, you like Nomagugu, you approach Nomagugu, you approach particular institutions and tell them who you are first and be committed to what you want to do, and then get advice and get guidance from that.
Our second question is, will my question be answered on whether to do articles or pupillage according to the advice of advocates and attorneys I've spoken to?
It looks like there's a lot of pauses, but I also took care of this one. When you want to become an advocate, you have to go through pupillage. If you want to be an attorney, then you go through the articles. It's as simple as that, yes.
All right, thank you. And then one student was saying there are a lot of horror stories that they hear about Black lawyers who form partnerships but do not get any work from the government or SOEs because they only prefer the big 5 companies or white-owned firms. What then should motivate a Black law graduate to form their own practice, given the lack of work available for Black firms?
I appreciate that, perhaps I'm not best placed to answer this question as I didn't address this point directly myself, but perhaps if I can just comment respectfully that in relation to most government or SOE work, there are very clear tender processes that have to be followed. They're very particular, bids that are put out where firms are to respond to, setting out quite clearly the parameters of their services, the parameters of their charges, and what type of legal services they would be responding. And those responses are then assessed by the government entities or SOEs concerned, and panels are put together. So in order to get work, generally speaking, from government or SOEs, it's necessary for you to be placed on those SOE or government panels for each entity or institution in question. And usually that is done by responding to the requests for proposals or the requests for bids that are advertised by those institutions or SOEs. So that's just the response perhaps that I can put in. As indicated, this is not my area, but it's just from the knowledge that I've gained from general practice, but this isn't my area of speciality. I hope that can assist somehow.
Thank you so much for your assistance. And then our other question is I think this is for Ms. Tulu. How is the articles training at Weber Winsell relative to other big 4 law firms?
Perhaps if I could mention, so I work at ENS Africa, which is one of the big 5. Each of the big 5 have their own particular articles programs. I would encourage students to consider the law firm's websites. Usually very comprehensive and detailed information is provided on the website regarding not only the application process, but very often what articles entails at those firms. I can mention that I understand that at 4 out of the 5 big firms, rotation between different departments is part of the process, where you would have an opportunity to rotate through 3 or 4 different departments during the course of your articles. Sometimes you are requested to give an indication of which departments you are personally interested in, and the firms would then usually try their best to accommodate those needs, subject of course to the department's requirement for a candidate legal practitioner. Otherwise, firms sometimes place candidate legal practitioners into departments where they feel that they would best flourish based on that candidate legal practitioner's CV, and based on their experience in placing legal practitioners usually into departments historically. So other law firms sometimes do not utilize the rotation method. Generally, they place you into a department either of your choosing or one that they believe you would flourish and be most fruitful in, and you spend the full 2 years of your articles within that single department, which then when you are admitted as attorney, it means you commence with 2 years under your belt already in a particular department.
Okay, thank you so much for your assistance. I'm sure our students appreciate it dearly. That's all I have on my side. Most of the questions were answered in our chat box, so if you might just want to peruse through our chat box, something might interest you, or you might find something very useful. And we have posted all the email addresses and contact details of our panelists. And we've also posted our evaluations form. Please just take 2 minutes of your time and fill it in before you leave the platform. I'll give the platform back to my colleague, Zilla, to give us questions that she has on her end. Thank you. So the next segment in our program will be our announcements from the facilitation of learning in the Gauteng region. On our program, I know it says Ms. Janine Pressman, but we will have Ms. Marina Kutsia. I hope I pronounced it properly. Thank you.
Good day. This is Janine Priesman. Marina was just standing in as the backup if I couldn't make it. Okay, I would just like to share shortly about the services that we offer in facilitation of learning to our students. There are certain services that we offer. I'm going to show them to you. The Gauteng region consists of, we've got 5 offices. We've got offices on the Sunnyside campus in Florida, on the Florida campus, then in Joburg, in Ekurhuleni, and in Vaal, where you can access all of these services. I will quickly speak to the services. The offices provide academic technological support to our students in the Gauteng region. Our academic support consists of tutorial support, where we have online enrollment for modules that have tutorial classes. Certain modules have been selected that you can enroll for them, and then you will receive online tutorial classes. You can check that out on My UNISA. You will be able to find those modules that are available. The online tutorial classes for various modules. Currently, the only colleges that have online tutorial classes is the College of Law, then the College of Human Sciences, and the College of Accounting. If you might have any service subjects that might fall in one of those colleges as well, you can also check that out. These classes are conducted on the MS Teams platform. We also then have the academic literacy support, which is also online classes with specific facilitators. The academic literacy support means we have 3 sections that we give to our undergraduate students. We supply support with academic reading and writing, where you get help on how to read an academic text, and then also how to write academic papers like your assignments or any other kind of papers that you might need to write. Then there's also support for postgraduate students. That's specifically also geared to help students with their proposal writing, as well as when they are busy with their thesis, to help them with certain of their chapters and certain things regarding that as well. There are specific facilitators appointed who will be able then to guide the students on that, and online classes provided as well. Qualitative literacy is for those students that have modules that require numeracy skills. Some of them are in the accounting, some of them are in the sciences. So we also have a facilitator that supplies online classes for that. Then we have the technology support. All 5 of our centres offer that technology support. Each of our centres have computer laboratories where students can be helped to activate their My UNISA and their My Life accounts. Students can type and submit assignments there, so you can go into the computer lab and you can do if you don't have access, your own laptop or whatever, you can go into the laboratories, you can type your assignments there, you can submit your assignments through the laboratories. They will also give students who are enrolled for signature courses, they provide guidance to those students on how to do those courses and what is required. I have some contact details here for the digital learning advisors. These are the people that are helping in those computer labs, some of them. For Ekurhuleni, we have Mr. Ramduth. For Florida, there's Mr. De Beer. For Johannesburg, there's Mr. Lamau. In Sunnyside, we have Mr. Molawutsi, and in Vaal, we have Mr. Mokanzi. Their email addresses are there, so if you have any difficulties regarding any of the technology stuff, And wherever you are in the Gauteng, whichever region or center you might fall under, you could contact these people and they will be able to help you, or redirect your query to people who might be able to help you. The access to all of these services are free to all registered students, so you can join the tutorial classes. You just have to register for the tutorial modules online, for those modules that are being given online, and all of these services are free. You don't have to pay anything. That's all covered in your normal student fees. Access to all of these services mostly through My UNISA and My Life. The correspondence that we are sending to all our students now is through the My Life emails. So it is vitally important that you as a student must ensure that your My Life account is active and that you check it regularly. We find that many of our students do not activate their My Life accounts. And then when we send out our information regarding all of these services, they do not receive any of that, and then they don't attend the classes. So please make sure that your My Life accounts are working and that you are regularly on that platform, because we are more and more going to use that particular platform to communicate with you. Here are some contact information of people in the various centers as well. These are the regional academic coordinators in the centers, which you can also contact for any of those services that you would like to know more about, or how to register or get involved with. Ekurhuleni, we have Ms. Maile. Florida, we have Ms. Mpasane. Johannesburg, we have 2 people, Ms. Makola and Mr. Nemantandani. Sunnyside, we have also 2 people, Ms. Priesman, that is myself, and then Ms. Tefu, and in Vaal we have Ms. Ngubeni. You are more than welcome to contact any of these people with any queries you have. Once again, we will try to help you. If we are unable, we will then refer you to the correct people where you might then get whatever you're asking for. I would like to thank you, and I would really just like to encourage you to make use of these services, especially where you have tutorial online classes. Join the classes. You can discuss with other students. You've got a tutor, you've got a facilitator. Join those classes and become involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pressman. Thank you. Students, make use of these opportunities. They are free. All right. Okay. And the others, we also have the counseling unit. Remember, Dr. Sebo talked about knowing yourself, knowing your personality, and knowing other people, personalities, etc. I think it's Ms. Ostason. So if you're not sure about your personality, please knock on our doors. Our doors are open and the services are free. Okay, right. I think you've absorbed all the information, you've taken notes, and then the presenters have shared their email addresses so you can contact them with further questions and clarifications. All right, so next up, we'll call Mr. Lawrence Maluleke to give us a vote of thanks.
Thanks very much, Program Director. And I would like to greet everyone present in this event. As we have reached the end of this stunning event, I would like to thank our distinguished speakers for making excellent presentation and making this event more insightful and interesting. And then I would also like to express our deep gratitude to Dr. Pitswana for the warm welcome and the platform that you gave us to conduct an event of this nature. Then to Ms. Mabowa, thanks very much for dishing out the purpose of the day. You gave us the picture of what the event was all about. And then I would like to acknowledge the presence of the SRC office, Mr. Siyabonga Lisaba, for your words of encouragement to fellow students to keep on attending events of this nature in future, for them to be kept abreast and acquire knowledge. And then thanks very much to our program director, Ms. Tsila. The skills that you possess enabled you to drive the program from the beginning till the end in a proper manner. Thanks very much for that. And also I would like to acknowledge my colleagues for the stunning job that you did as you were busy mending the chat box to ensure that you take all the questions and escalate them to our presenters. And then to all colleagues who participated in the plenary meetings we have had to ensure the event becomes a success. Indeed, teamwork yields good result. Last but not least, I would like to thank myself for being present throughout the event. Hence now I have the opportunity to close the program. Thanks very much, colleagues. Thanks a lot. Back to you, Program Director.
All right. Mr. Lawrence Baluleke, I think we've come to the end of our program. And just one note, students, you are resolutely determined to make a lawyer of yourself, then you are more than half done in becoming one. Don't give up. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.